Chapter 2693. The surrounding void was silently destroyed. The black ocean contained the purest destruction sword essence, as if it was going to destroy all life, causing heaven and earth to fall into a state of ruin. Although the attack seemed to be silent, Zhao Ritian could feel a strong sense of threat from it. The apocalyptic three swords are interesting. Since that's the case, have a taste of my father's sword technique, the Celestial Emperor's Celestial Slaying Sword. Zhao Ritian was a little surprised, but his eyes instantly became extremely sharp. Rumble. His body suddenly shone brightly, and a golden divine glow enveloped him. The pores all over his body seemed to be shooting out sharp immortal light, causing the heavenly emperor sword in his hand to turn pure gold. The bright golden light was like the first ray of the sun that pierced through the darkness. In an instant, it swept across heaven and earth, and slashed towards the white-clothed lady. The Celestial Emperor's Celestial Slaying Sword? Could it be that the Celestial Emperor had also killed people from the Celestial tribe? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with divine light. Zhao Ritian had once taught him the Celestial Emperor scripture, and he was very familiar with the Supreme Emperor technique in the Celestial Emperor scripture. The Celestial Emperor's Celestial Slaying Sword was a pure killing battle technique that could destroy, kill, shatter, and annihilate everything. However, Ling Zhao did not pay too much attention to it before. It was only when Taoist Wuliang told him about the Celestial tribe that Ling Zhao started to have some doubts. After all, the two words Celestial Slaying Sword seemed to have an inexplicable meaning. It was like a battle of fate. The moment the Celestial Emperor's Celestial Slaying Sword was unleashed, the endless darkness in the surroundings seemed to melt away, causing the white-clothed lady's expression to change drastically. The Celestial Emperor's Celestial Slaying Sword? Is this the Celestial Emperor's Celestial Slaying Sword that your highness has been searching for? Very well. You're dead and no one can save you. The white-clothed lady's face was filled with cold killing intent. Rumble. At that moment, the two Supreme Emperor techniques collided with each other. The golden sword light bloomed in the black ocean, like a bright sun leaping out of the ocean surface. In an instant, it exploded with millions of rays of light, expelling all darkness, and illuminating heaven and earth. The white-clothed lady's sword of end melted like snow. Zhao Ritian held the heavenly Tao Emperor sword in his hand while his golden armor was extremely resplendent. The blazing sword radiance locked onto the white-robed lady's forehead as it pierced through the air towards her. What? Apocalyptic second sword, reincarnation. The expression of the lady in white changed abruptly as she felt a fatal threat. She did not have time to think about why the apocalyptic first sword could not block Zhao Ritian's Celestial Emperor's Celestial Slayer sword. She let out a roar and leaped into the sky. The Armageddon ancient sword in her hand radiated with the presence of the underworld. The power of samsara rose from her body, turning into an extremely vast samsara vortex that seemed to be able to devour everything. Zhao Ritian's heavenly Tao Emperor sword was instantly blocked by the power of reincarnation. The boundless golden sword chi around him was devoured by the reincarnation. His figure also became extremely slow. The eerie samsara aura around him was devouring his sword chi. At the same time, it was trying to invade his body and devour his life force. Apocalyptic third sword Nirvana. The white-robed lady's eyes were dazzling. Seeing that Zhao Ritian was being controlled by her reincarnation sword essence, she did not hesitate and immediately unleashed the apocalyptic third sword. The mighty Nirvana sword essence seemed to be able to completely destroy everything. It caused all light and life force to sink into eternal darkness. The sword was aimed at Zhao Ritian's forehead. At that moment, Zhao Ritian seemed to be trapped in the reincarnation sword essence, and was unable to extricate himself. He was completely exposed to the apocalyptic third sword. Zhao Ritian won't fail miserably, right? Long Outyin exclaimed with a worried look in his eyes. Don't worry. Although Zhao Ritian is arrogant and has his eyes on the top of his head, his cousin is more cunning than your cousin. However, his treachery and cunning are second only to your cousin. That woman in white is going to be in trouble. The old goat chuckled. There was no trace of worry in his eyes. Ling Zhao did not bother about the old goat. His gaze was fixed on the white-robed lady. There were streaks of chaotic light around him as his aura gradually rose. Kacha! Just as the white-robed lady's sword was about to reach Zhao Ritian's forehead, Zhao Ritian's figure suddenly turned into a golden rain of light and exploded. The terrifying reincarnation vortex in the surroundings collapsed. Terrifying divine light wreaked havoc and enveloped the white-robed lady. Not good. The white-robed lady's face changed. She realized that Zhao Ritian had left a clone in front of her unknowingly. It had deceived her senses and even her apocalyptic third sword. Puff! A dazzling sword light swept across the void. It contained an immortal and mysterious fluctuation. It came from behind the white-robed lady and pierced through her chest, leaving behind a trail of golden blood. The white-robed lady's face instantly turned pale. She spat out a mouthful of blood, and her eyes were filled with disbelief. She could not believe that Zhao Ritian had pierced through her chest so easily. Puff! Zhao Ritian pulled out the Heavenly Emperor sword and kicked the white-robed lady in the air. She crashed into the ground in front of Ling Xiao, creating a huge human-shaped crater. You should be glad that I didn't want to take your life. Otherwise, this sword would have pierced through your head and shattered your primordial spirit. Zhao Ritian smiled faintly. He held the Heavenly Emperor sword in his hand and was surrounded by a dazzling golden light. His hair danced in the wind and his face was extraordinarily handsome. He looked like a young emperor that no one dared to look at. Although Zhao Ritian looked calm on the surface, he was a little surprised in his heart. After all, although the sword was the Heavenly Emperor's celestial slaying sword, which was powerful and sharp, it had pierced through the white-robed lady's chest so easily. The sword gave him the feeling that the moment it pierced through the white-robed lady's body, its power had increased tenfold. This change left Zhao Ritian scratching his head in confusion. However, this did not stop him from acting tough. Previously Zining was in complete despair. However, when she saw the high and mighty white-robed lady being defeated by Zhao Ritian, she still felt that it was unreal. This was a high and mighty celestial envoy. Even Zining, grandfather, Zifenglai, had to bow down and curry favor with her every time he met her. However, she was now like a dead dog, lying in front of Ling Xiao and the rest. She looked extremely pathetic and miserable. Do you think you can defeat me like this? Ha ha ha. You have completely infuriated me. You forced me to do this. All of you must die. The white-robed lady stood up. Her perfect and delicate face was now extremely distorted. Her eyes were filled with crazy killing intent. She was shocked and furious. She was about to go crazy. She was the maid of His Highness, the mighty celestial envoy. However, she had been trampled into the ground by Zhao Ritian. This anger and humiliation had to be washed away with her life and blood. Your Highness, please descend and rule over all living things. The white-robed lady suddenly bowed respectfully towards the void in the distance. Her face was filled with devotion and fanaticism. Chapter 2694. Your Highness. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian's eyes flashed with a bright light. Rumble. As the white-robed lady's voice fell, a bright immortal light shone from between her brows. A mysterious rune bloomed in the void like a mysterious lotus, and a mysterious figure appeared vaguely. The sound of the great Tao intertwined, and auspicious qi rose. Rays of light shone as if the ancient people were singing. It was ancient and mysterious, and it was as if the heavenly Tao had revealed its true form. It exuded a noble, majestic, and mysterious fluctuation. Amidst the bright divine light and auspicious qi, a lotus flower surrounded by chaotic light bloomed. A young man walked out from it. That was a perfect and flawless man. He wore a white Taoist robe, and his body was tall and slender. His skin was as white as ivory, crystal clear, and exuding an immortal light. He had a perfect face, and he was extraordinarily handsome. It was as if he had transcended the mortal world, and his entire body was intertwined with Tao and reason. His face was calm, and there was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. His eyes contained an incomparably mysterious light, as if there was a scene of the birth and death of the heavens. It was like a deep starry sky, and one could not help but sink into it. As soon as he appeared in the void, it was as if he had naturally become the focus of the world, making everyone dim in comparison. This was the mysterious highness of the immortal tribe. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian could not help but exclaim in their hearts. This highness's appearance was indeed extraordinary. It was probably enough to make any sky prides or demons feel ashamed of their inferiority. Greetings, Your Highness. These two are the son of the Emperor of Heaven, Zhao Ritian, and the chosen one Ling Xiao. Your Highness, please subdue them. Your servant is useless. Please punish me. When the white-robed lady saw this highness, her eyes were filled with fanatical worship as she spoke emotionally. The son of the Emperor of Heaven and the chosen one? Are you the ones who injured my maidservant? A strange look appeared in the highness's eyes as his gaze fell on Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. In his eyes, there was only Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. Everyone else was naturally ignored. It was as if it was only because of their identities as the son of the celestial emperor and the chosen one that he looked at Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. However, he still maintained his high and mighty attitude, like a god looking down on ants. That kind of arrogance and condescension seemed to be innate, different from the pretentious attitude of the woman in white. His voice was calm and indifferent, but it contained a fluctuation that could not be refused. That's right. Your maid was injured by me. What are you going to do about it? Zhao Ritian smiled faintly as he stared at His Highness in the sky. There was a tinge of arrogance in his eyes. He instinctively felt unhappy. One had to know that Zhao Ritian had always thought of himself as the chosen one. He was born with great luck and opportunities, especially after his identity as the son of the Emperor of Heaven was confirmed. Even Ling Xiao, the chosen one, was not worthy of his attention. Zhao Ritian's arrogance was ingrained in his bones. However, after seeing His Highness today, although Zhao Ritian did not want to believe it, he had no choice but to believe it. His Highness was too perfect, as if he was the son of the Creator. It made him feel ashamed of his inferiority. It's just a doppelganger? Perhaps His Highness's cultivation base has already broken through to the Emperor realm. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he thought to himself. He could tell that His Highness's aura was unfathomable. However, it was just a doppelganger and not his real body. Even so, Ling Xiao felt an extremely strong threat even though it was just a doppelganger. Only I have the right to teach my maidservant a lesson. Since you injured my maidservant, then kill yourselves. I'll let your primordial spirits go through the cycle of reincarnation. His Highness said faintly. His gaze was extremely calm. Kill myself? Ha ha ha. Who do you think you are? Stop trying to be mysterious here. I'd really like to see the strength of His Highness. Zhao Ritian laughed out loud as his gaze turned colder. This immortal highness was too pretentious. He was just a doppelganger, and yet he dared to ask Zhao Ritian and Ling Xiao to kill themselves. He did not even care about the son of the heavenly emperor and the chosen one. If that's the case, then don't blame me for this. This doppelganger of mine only has the strength for one attack. If you can withstand this attack, then I'll spare your lives. If you die under this attack, then you can only blame yourselves for overestimating your strength. His Highness said faintly. Let's try it then. Zhao Ritian was so angry that he laughed. A cold killing intent burst out from his eyes. Even though they had just met, Zhao Ritian could not help but feel a killing intent towards this highness of the immortal race. He had his own pride. Although Zhao Ritian could feel that this immortal highness's aura was extremely terrifying, he did not think that he would not be able to withstand a single attack. Although Ling Xiao did not say anything, his gaze turned extremely sharp as an extremely strong battle intent exuded from his body. Your Highness, they all have extreme Dao Emperor weapons. The white-robed lady reminded. Extreme Dao Emperor weapons? An extreme Dao Emperor weapon without a soul is just an inanimate object. The only thing that is truly powerful is oneself. Today I'll show you what true power is. His Highness's expression was extremely calm. Even the extreme Dao Emperor weapons could not move him in the slightest. His gaze landed on Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. Instantly, an extremely powerful aura erupted from him. Crack. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian felt their bodies tremble as a monstrous aura locked them in place. They were like a small boat in a raging sea, in danger of capsizing at any moment. The sense of danger in Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian's hearts grew extremely intense. Die, His Highness said faintly. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, he gently slapped his palm toward Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. An extremely pure energy gushed out. It was the source of the great Tao, the pinnacle of the laws and the most fundamental energy. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian felt that they had no chance of dodging. They could only take the blow head-on. Kill! Zhao Ritian suddenly roared. His eyes revealed an incomparably crazy look. The Heavenly Emperor's sword in his hand suddenly shone brightly, as though it had completely awakened. It swept across the void in all directions. It was extremely bright and sharp. It pierced through the void and charged towards His Highness. Let's fight! The battle intent in Ling Xiao's eyes also rose. Chaotic light surged around his body, and a heavenly aura swept across the sky like a prison monument. An ancient hell seemed to appear around him, and a mysterious shadow of the great emperor swept across the void, carrying the heavenly aura and the power of the prison monument to suppress His Highness. Chapter 2695. Zhao Ritian unleashed the power of the Heavenly Dao Emperor Sword, while Ling Xiao executed the Heavenly Dao Prison Suppression Technique with the Heavenly Dao Prison Monument. At the same time, they attacked the prince in the void. Even though it was just a clone, and even though it looked like a light palm strike, Zhao Ritian and Ling Xiao could feel an immense amount of pressure. Rumble. The boundless sword aura from the Heavenly Dao Emperor Sword was as vast as rain, as if it could annihilate everything. However, when it came into contact with the prince, it instantly melted like snow. The prince's palm broke through the layers of sword aura and slammed onto the Heavenly Dao Emperor Sword. The Heavenly Dao Emperor Sword trembled violently and buzzed. An unparalleled divine power exploded. Zhao Ritian's expression changed drastically. The Heavenly Dao Emperor Sword seemed to have lost control and flew out of his hand. Seeing that the prince's palm was about to imprint on Zhao Ritian's chest, Ling Xiao charged over. The Heavenly Dao Prison Monument was vast and mighty like an immortal divine mountain. The ancient phantom of the great emperor contained an insufferably arrogant aura that could suppress hell and sweep across the heavens. It's the inheritance of the heavenly prison, great emperor? It's a pity that your cultivation is still too weak. The prince said in surprise. His palm did not lose its momentum and slammed onto the Heavenly Dao Prison Monument. Rumble. A terrifying shockwave exploded, and the Heavenly Dao Prison Monument trembled violently. With the palm as the center, it emitted a terrifying divine light that annihilated the phantom of the great emperor and the scene of hell that appeared. Ling Xiao felt an extremely strong and pure power surging towards him, directly sending the heavens might prison steel flying. Puff. Ling Xiao and the prince's palms collided in the air. Instantly, purple divine light gushed out from his body. His heart and head were emitting an immortal light. However, Ling Xiao still felt as if he was struck by lightning. His body trembled violently, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian seemed to have been swept away by a hurricane. All of their powerful attacks were like paper in front of His Highness' palm. There was no room for them to resist at all. What? The old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and Long Outyin were all shocked. Zhao Ritian and Ling Xiao had both summoned their extreme Dao Emperor weapons. Their combined attack was enough to threaten a heavenly venerate expert. However, it was so weak in front of His Highness. The powerful extreme Dao Emperor weapon posed no threat to His Highness. It was like an ordinary weapon, and was sent flying by His Highness. Ants like you want to fight His Highness? You really don't know what death is. The white-clothed woman's eyes were filled with disdain. She had long known that this would be the result. His Highness's prowess was deeply rooted in everyone's hearts. She knew that even if Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian had extreme Dao Monarch weapons, they would not be a match for His Highness, because His Highness had already grasped the true essence of power. What a powerful physical body. To be able to block my palm, you're pretty good. His Highness's eyes revealed a trace of surprise as he stared at Ling Xiao. That palm of his looked light, but it contained the supreme law of shattering and annihilation. It contained the true Dao of power. Even Zhao Ritian would not be able to withstand it. Even if he did not die, he would be severely injured. However, Ling Xiao stood in front of Zhao Ritian. Although the Heavenly Emperor prison suppression technique was neutralized by His Highness, Ling Xiao's primordial immortal body exploded and blocked His Highness's palm. Ling Xiao's chest caved in. However, his heart was as dazzling as the sun. It emitted a powerful vitality that healed Ling Xiao's damaged body. Damn it! Zhao Ritian's eyes were blood red and contained a monstrous murderous intent. He hated himself for being useless and allowing Ling Xiao to block that fatal attack for him. His entire body emitted a frenzied aura, as if there were blazing flames burning around him. His aura also began to skyrocket. Zhao Ritian was ready to fight with his life on the line. At this moment, Ling Xiao stood in front of Zhao Ritian. His eyes were sharp and deep as he stared at His Highness and said slowly, "You're indeed very powerful. However, I also have a punch that I'd like you to give me some pointers on." Mysterious great Tao laws gathered around Ling Xiao. Boundless divine light surged as a mysterious and powerful aura was emitted from his body. "Don't waste your energy. You're no match for me. That palm was only half a move. If I were to use the full move, you'd be dead for sure." His Highness said indifferently. Although his aura was a little weak, his eyes were sharp and had an invincible aura that looked down on the world. "Is that so? I'd really like to see how powerful your full move is." Ling Xiao sneered. The battle intent in his eyes instantly rose to the extreme. Crack. Boundless purple gas rose around him and stretched across 30,000 miles of the void. 3,000 great Tao laws gathered and chaotic light rose. An extremely powerful fist intent rose up. It was as if a power that had been sublimated from destruction was going to cleanse the heavens and restart the civilization of the new era. Ling Xiao threw a punch at His Highness. Fist of the new era. A faint voice could be heard. That punch instantly became extremely majestic. It contained the power of the life and death of civilizations and the reincarnation of the heavens. It pressed down on His Highness majestically. Zhao Ritian originally wanted to fight His Highness to the death. However, when he saw Ling Xiao attacking, he had no choice but to stop. This kid has actually touched the origin of power and created his own path. Not bad, not bad. Perhaps you guys really have a chance to defeat this Highness of the immortal tribe. Inside Zhao Ritian's body, the second uncle who had been silent for a long time suddenly said in surprise, "This guy is really sick. But who is that Highness? Just a clone was able to injure Ling Xiao and me. I really suspect that this guy is the real chosen one." Zhao Ritian said gloomily. "His Highness of the immortal tribe. Hee. There's no difference between him and the chosen one." The second uncle chuckled. You're just a mere great saint. Yet, you've also understood the origin of the great Tao and created your own path. Not bad. You're worthy of my full attack." His Highness's eyes revealed a tinge of surprise. His gaze became much more solemn. Zhao Ritian and Ling Xiao's extreme Tao Emperor weapon did not move him at all. However, Ling Xiao's fist of the new era had finally moved him. World annihilation. His Highness softly uttered the two words. Then he threw a palm strike at Ling Xiao. The palm strike seemed to be able to destroy the heavens and shatter the myriad of worlds. It contained a supreme power that could destroy the world. It was much stronger than the previous palm strike. Rumble. Ling Xiao's fist of the new era instantly collided with His Highness' world annihilation palm. Boundless radiance bloomed, and the void was destroyed. It was as if a huge storm had enveloped Ling Xiao and His Highness. Chapter 2696. Who won? Zhao Ritian, the old goat, and Daoist Wuliang all looked extremely anxious. Ling Xiao's epic fist was extremely terrifying, but His Highness' world annihilation palm was even more terrifying, as if it could shatter everything. When the two terrifying attacks collided, the powerful shockwaves engulfed Ling Xiao and His Highness. "This bastard will definitely not be able to block His Highness' attack," the white-robed lady said coldly, her eyes cold beyond compare. She was extremely shocked. She found it hard to believe that Ling Xiao could unleash such a powerful attack without the help of an extreme Tao Emperor weapon. That was His Highness, the ruler of dozens of great thousand worlds, the most honorable, majestic, mysterious, and invincible His Highness. In the white-robed lady's opinion, there was no one in the myriad worlds who could be compared to His Highness. However, Ling Xiao's performance made the white-robed lady uneasy. Rumble. The divine light in the void slowly dissipated, revealing Ling Xiao and His Highness. The two of them stood in the air, facing each other from a distance. They looked as if they were unharmed, and their expressions were extremely calm. Humph. Ling Xiao's face suddenly turned pale, and he groaned. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and his aura instantly became extremely weak. Ling Xiao, you are indeed the chosen one of this epoch. I have underestimated you. You have already comprehended the great Tao origin, and walked your own path. The biggest obstacle to the Imperial Emperor realm has disappeared. His Highness' expression was somewhat complicated as he looked at Ling Xiao. Your world annihilation palm is also very powerful. His Highness, the people of the 4 great divine clans are my friends. I don't want to be enemies with you, so can you let them go? Ling Xiao looked at His Highness and said slowly, the people of the 4 great divine clans? It's impossible to let them go. Moreover, I want the people of the Dragon Clan. I hope you can come to the Eternal Immortal Palace in 3 days. If you don't come, the people of the 4 great divine clans will die. His Highness said indifferently. Boom. His body trembled slightly, and resplendent light flickered around him like a rain of light. His aura instantly became extremely weak, and his figure became illusory. Whoosh. His Highness rolled up his sleeves, and was about to take the woman in white away from here. Where are you going? Since you won't release the people of the 4 sacred clans, then you are my enemy. Not only do you want your maid to stay, but you also want your clone to stay. Ling Xiao's eyes turned cold, revealing an incomparably cold killing intent. Rumble. He soared through the air, and charged towards His Highness. The heavenly might was like a prison monument, emitting resplendent light. A vast vortex gushed out, containing a mysterious world, wanting to devour His Highness. Wang. At this moment, a 3-legged, 2-eared cauldron that looked ancient and mysterious flew out from between Zhao Ritian's eyebrows. The mouth of the cauldron contained an energy fluctuation that could devour everything. It emitted a vast origin source flame, and sealed off the prince's escape route. A sea of fire rose as the Yen Emperor cauldron unleashed a vast emperor's aura, about to swallow His Highness into the Yen Emperor cauldron. The Yen Emperor cauldron was another extreme emperor weapon of Zhao Ritian. Although His Highness was extremely powerful, his clone did not have much strength. The 2 palms earlier had already exhausted all his strength. He did not expect Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian to dare to attack him. You, His Highness's gaze turned cold, and he was about to say something. Freeze! Ling Xiao suddenly spat out a word. In an instant, the vast power of time gushed out, and Ling Xiao pointed at the space between His Highness's eyebrows. It was as if a long river of time had appeared in the air, and it wrapped around His Highness's body. This was the power of menstruation, and also the power of time. If His Highness's strength was not damaged, perhaps Ling Xiao's attack would not have affected him much. However, his clone's strength had been greatly reduced, and he was instantly affected by the power of time. His entire body was frozen in the void, even though it only took a breath's time for him to regain his freedom. However, a breath's time was enough to do many things. Rumble. The heaven's might was like a prison monument, and it was like a vast mountain. It slammed onto His Highness and the lady in white, causing His Highness's body to become more and more illusory. The lady in white also spat out a mouthful of blood. The Yen Emperor cauldron took the opportunity to shine brightly, and endless flames gushed out. The huge cauldron slammed onto His Highness's body, causing his clone to shatter into pieces. The heaven's might was like a prison monument, and it took the opportunity to engulf His Highness's shattered body. You dare to shatter His Highness's clone? You're dead. None of you can withstand His Highness's anger. All of you must die. The lady in white trembled, and her eyes were filled with rage. It's hard to say whether we'll die, but I know you're dead. Zhao Ritian sneered. He grabbed the lady in white's snow-white neck, and lifted her up. The lady in white had been severely injured by the Heavenly Emperor sword, and she had less than 10% of her strength left. She could not resist Zhao Ritian at all. Although she struggled, and her eyes were filled with grief, she could not escape from Zhao Ritian's clutches. Don't kill her yet. We can use her to exchange for the 4 great sacred clans. Ling Xiao said to Zhao Ritian. You can give up on that idea. His Highness will never give up the 4 great sacred clans for me. You've completely infuriated His Highness this time. The lady in white said coldly. Cut the crap. It's not that we don't dare to kill you. But we won't kill you for the time being. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Zhao Ritian sneered. He gave the lady in white a few slaps without any mercy. The lady in white's face soon swelled up. The lady in white's eyes were filled with grief and anger. She roared, but Zhao Ritian ignored her. He sealed her cultivation and imprisoned her in the Yen Emperor cauldron. Rumble. At that moment, Ling Zhao's body surged with blazing divine light, and his aura suddenly surged. Oh no, protect me. Ling Zhao's face changed, and he quickly instructed Zhao Ritian, the old goat, and the rest. He then sat down cross-legged in the Silver Frost Valley. Although His Highness's clone had been shattered, and it was imprisoned by heaven's might, the jade plate of creation, which had merged with Ling Xiao, seemed to have sensed the mysterious aura of His Highness's clone. Suddenly, it released a wave of desire, wanting to devour His Highness's clone. Chapter 2697. Although the monument was an extreme Dao monarch weapon, it was unable to resist the will of the Jade Disc of Fortune. His Highness's clone was directly devoured by the Jade Disc of Fortune. After swallowing the fragments of His Highness Avatar, the good fortune Jade Disc shone brightly, and the 3,000 great Dao laws seemed to light up in an instant. Ling Zhao's saintly way origin root had been comprehending the 3,000 great ways nomological laws in the creation Jade Disc all the time. However, at this moment, the 3,000 great ways nomological laws in the creation Jade Disc began to surge towards Ling Zhao's saintly way origin root like a vast ocean. Rumble. Lightning flashed and the space shook. Ling Zhao's saintly path origin root began to sprout rapidly. 3,000 mysterious leaves appeared, and each leaf contained the ripples of the great path law. At this moment, Ling Zhao's saintly way origin root was like a small tree. It looked verdant and contained a vast amount of life force, and it was still growing. This was no longer a holy Dao root, but a holy Dao tree. Crack. In Ling Zhao's body, it was as if some kind of bottleneck had been broken. His cultivation level also increased by leaps and bounds, and he naturally broke through to the Saint King realm. A powerful aura rippled out from Ling Zhao's body. His aura began to skyrocket, and the purple divine light around him surged. His entire being became unfathomable. Originally, Ling Xiao had a hunch that even with the creation Jade Disc, it would take at least a few years for his saintly Dao origin root to reach perfection and condense the 3,000 great Dao nomological laws. But today, after the creation Jade Disc devoured the fragment of Her Majesty's clone, it seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. It allowed Ling Xiao to comprehend the 3,000 ways 1,000 times faster. It even merged with Ling Zhao's saintly way origin root. His holy Dao origin root had reached perfection and transformed into a holy Dao tree. Ling Zhao's cultivation had also officially broken through to the Saint King realm. He broke through just like that. Zhao Ritian, Old Goat, and Taoist Wuliang naturally noticed the commotion on Ling Zhao's body. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Zhao Ritian in particular was extremely depressed. He originally wanted to break through to the Holy King realm before Ling Xiao, then find an opportunity to beat Ling Xiao up. But from the looks of it now, it would be a long time before he could realize his wish. Ling Zhao's breakthrough did not last for long. A day later, he had stabilized his cultivation as a Saint King, becoming a true Saint King. Is this the power of a Saint King? Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes. His gaze was like lightning, and all the pores on his body were emitting a blazing light. With a casual clench of his fist, even the void was exploding violently. Now that Ling Xiao had broken through to the Saint King realm, his strength had increased by at least several times. Whether it was his physical strength or the Saint Qi in his body, both had increased by several times. Most importantly, Ling Xiao felt that it was much easier for him to control the epical fist. He could even clearly see the end of the path. Once the great path origin was sublimated, he would be able to advance to the Supreme Emperor realm. Although there were 4 levels in the Saint King realm, the Saint King realm was already considered the pinnacle of the Saint Path. As long as Ling Xiao cultivated step by step, and allowed the Tree of Saints to mature and grow as quickly as possible, he would obtain even more origin energy. His cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. All the way until Empyrean realm, he did not have any bottlenecks. that His Highness is really a child of fortune. But this so-called immortal tribe is too terrifying. He was born close to the 3,000 great paths. With such insane talent, the immortal tribe is the tribe that has received the most blessings from the heavenly path. Ling Xiao exclaimed in his heart. Although the fragment of His Highness clone did not contain much power, it had activated the 3,000 great paths in the creation jade disc, allowing Ling Xiao's comprehension of the 3,000 great paths to reach perfection instantly. His saint path origin root had also transformed into a tree of saints. In a mysterious chaotic space within Ling Xiao's body, Ling Xiao's tree of saints was rooted in the chaos. Its roots were crystal clear, and its 3,000 leaves were dazzling. They intertwined with principles and logos, as if each leaf was evolving into an ancient world. Vaguely, phantoms of true dragons, phoenixes, white tigers, black tortoises, cheilants, and other powerful ancient divine beasts seemed to appear on Ling Xiao's tree of saints. They were resting under Ling Xiao's tree of saints, and their auras were terrifying. Breaking through to the Saint King realm was a sublimation for Ling Xiao. It allowed him to integrate the great paths that he had previously comprehended, and the path he wanted to take became clearer. Ling Xiao, you bastard, you actually broke through earlier than me? When I break through to the Saint King realm, I'll definitely have a good fight with you. Zhao Ritian said to Ling Xiao with a face full of envy and jealousy. No problem, anytime. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Ling Xiao, His Highness is at the Eternal Immortal Palace in the center of the Chaos Secret Territory. Now that you've broken through to the Saint King realm, do you have the confidence to win against his real body? The old goat looked at Ling Xiao and asked slowly. They all knew that Ling Xiao would most likely go to the Eternal Immortal Palace for the sake of the 4 great saint clans. But His Highness was too terrifying. The scene of the previous battle had cast a shadow in everyone's heart, and they were filled with anxiety and worry. No confidence. Ling Xiao said slowly. He was speaking the truth. Even though he had broken through to the Saint King realm, and his strength had increased by several times, he still had no confidence to face His Highness from the immortal tribe. His Highness' cultivation had probably reached the Imperial Emperor realm, and he had walked his own path and understood the origin of power. Therefore, a casual attack from him had the power to destroy heaven and earth. Even if Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian had taken out their extreme emperor weapons, they would still not be a match for His Highness. Ling Xiao had broken through to the Saint King realm. If he faced His Highness clone, Ling Xiao believed that he could win. But against His Highness' real body, Ling Xiao had no confidence at all. Ling Xiao, I think it's impossible for you to exchange the maidservant of His Highness for the 4 great saint clans. The old goat said hesitantly. I know what you want to say, but I can't just watch the 4 great saint clans die in His Highness' hands. So what if he's His Highness from the immortal tribe? I really want to see how strong he is. Also, I think that His Highness in the Eternal Fairy Palace might not be his real body. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, a sharp glint in his eyes. Oh, why do you say that? The old goat and Taoist Wu Yang's expressions changed. If imperial emperors can enter the chaos secret realm, then the old ancestors of the 4 great saint clans would have entered long ago. It's impossible for the old ancestors of the 4 great saint clans not to know that the 4 great saint clans have been captured. Therefore, I think that His Highness from the immortal tribe must have entered the chaos secret realm in a special state. It's probably not his real body. Ling Xiao said slowly. However, his analysis made Zhao Ritian, the old goat, and Taoist Wu Yang's eyes light up. Ling Xiao was right. That His Highness in the Eternal Fairy Palace might not be his real body. If that was the case, they might still have a chance to fight. Chapter 2698. The prince of the immortal tribe came to the Chaos Secret Land and captured the people of the 4 divine tribes. He must be up to something big. Only when we reach the Eternal Fairy Palace will we know what he is up to. So, we have to go to the Eternal Fairy Palace no matter what. Zhao Ritian said slowly. There was a hint of eagerness in his eyes. Even though Zhao Ritian and Ling Xiao had just been defeated by the clone of His Highness, Zhao Ritian did not feel dejected at all. Instead, he became even more excited and eager to fight another battle with His Highness. He was a lawless person who did not know what fear was. Now that he had met a strong opponent, He was extremely excited and agitated. What about Miss Zining? Long Outyan's eyes suddenly flashed as he looked at Zining. Let her go. The Purple Moon Divine Tribe has betrayed the Dragon Tribe, but everyone has their own ambitions. We can't force them. I hope you know what to do in the future, Ling Xiao said slowly after pondering for a moment. The Purple Moon Divine Tribe was able to survive in the Chaos Secret Land because of the Dragon Tribe's kindness. However, Zifeng and the others did not repay the Dragon Tribe. Instead, they sided with the Prince of the Immortal Tribe and wanted to capture Long Outyan and the others. They even wanted to steal Ling Xiao's heavenly fate. Ling Xiao would not show mercy to his enemies. Zifeng and the other elders of the Purple Moon Divine Tribe were all killed by him. It was impossible for Zining to say that she was innocent. After all, Zining bringing people to the five-colored altar was a trap set by Zifeng. Zining wanted to protect the Purple Moon Divine Tribe. It was understandable that she wanted to capture Ling Xiao and the others. It was just that they were on different sides. Ling Xiao did not want to kill more people, so he decided to let Zining go. Stop pretending. You killed my grandfather and the elders of the Purple Moon Divine Tribe. From now on, the Purple Moon Divine Tribe will not rest until you are dead. Zining eyes were filled with hatred as she stared at Ling Xiao and the others. You don't know what's good for you. If your grandfather did not have evil intentions and wanted to steal our bloodline, why would we kill him? If you are stubborn, the Purple Moon Divine Tribe will die a terrible death, Long Outyan said coldly. Zining, think whatever you want. We will not kill you today, but if your Purple Moon Divine race insists on becoming enemies with us in the future, then don't blame us for being impolite, Ling Xiao said slowly. Let's go. Ling Xiao did not look at Zining anymore. Instead, he Zhao Ritian, the old goat, Daoist Wuyang, Long Outyan, and Long Xiaoxiao flew towards the Eternal Immortal Palace at the center of the Chaos Secret Realm. Zining eyes were filled with complicated emotions and regret. She did not expect Ling Xiao and the others to be so powerful. Even the Immortal Envoy was no match for them. Even one of Her Highness clones was killed by Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. The Purple Moon God clan was still too weak. They relied on His Highness of the immortal race to protect themselves. They could only blame Grandpa for being too greedy and scheming to obtain Zhao Ritian and Ling Xiao's bloodline. In the end, Ling Xiao beat him at his own game and killed him in the Silver Frost Valley. Zifeng and many of the elders of the Purple Moon Divine Clan had died in battle. The Purple Moon Divine Clan had lost more than half of its strength. What would the Purple Moon Divine Clan do in the future? Forget it, forget it. No matter who wins between them and Her Highness, the Purple Moon Divine Clan will seal the mountain for 10,000 years and recuperate. We will no longer be involved in the Chaos Secret Realm, Zining said slowly with a gloomy expression. She turned to leave the Silver Frost Valley and returned to the Purple Moon Divine Clan. The Silver Frost Valley had already disappeared because this battle had completely shattered it. Boom, boom, boom. Just as Zining was about to leave, 3 extremely powerful auras suddenly descended, exuding terrifying waves of energy. Heavenly Venerables? Zining's expression changed, and her eyes were filled with solemnity. The 3 auras were extremely terrifying, as if they could destroy everything. They were not any weaker than her grandfather Zifeng. They were 3 heavenly venerables. Even in the untainted mystery land, a holy master at the absolute peak of the holy path was considered a peerless expert. It was unexpected that 3 holy masters had appeared this time. The 3 figures with terrifying auras instantly locked onto Zining. Where is Ling Xiao? An incomparably cold voice sounded, containing a kind of superior fluctuation. Who are you people? Zining's heart skipped a beat as she replied with a pale face. She did not expect the 3 heavenly venerables to be looking for Ling Xiao. She did not know if they were looking for Ling Xiao to seek revenge or were his helpers. We are the ones who killed Ling Xiao. You must be Zining, of the Purple Moon Divine Clan, right? What a pity you can be considered the last person of the Purple Moon Divine Clan. Tell us Ling Xiao's whereabouts and we will spare your life. The cold voice rang out. The 3 heavenly venerables stood in the void. their bodies shrouded in mysterious light and mist. No one could see their faces clearly, but the three figures contained an aura that could destroy heaven and earth, causing Zining, Er's heart to palpitate. Zining, Er's face instantly turned pale as her body trembled violently. She had a bad premonition and quickly asked, "I am the last person of the Purple Moon Divine Clan? Why? What happened to my Purple Moon Divine Clan?" "Big brother, why are you wasting so much time with her? Since the Purple Moon Divine Clan has been destroyed by us, why don't we just capture her and search her soul? We will naturally find Ling Xiao's whereabouts." Another sinister voice rang out. "What? You destroyed the Purple Moon Divine Clan? Why?" Zining, Er's body trembled as her eyes revealed a look of disbelief. Her voice became a little crazy as she stared at the three figures in the void with bloodshot eyes. She told herself that this was not true. There were still 3 elders in the Purple Moon Divine Clan, and the Purple Moon Divine Mountain had a mountain protection array. It was a powerful emperor array left behind by the Dragon Clan. These 3 heavenly venerables could not break through the Purple Moon Divine Mountain's great array. There is no reason. The Purple Moon Divine Clan is the subordinate of the Dragon Clan, so they are naturally our enemy. They actually said that they did not know the whereabouts of the Dragon Clan and Ling Xiao, so we can only destroy them all. Hehe, if we did not search their souls, we would not have known that you betrayed the Dragon Clan and led the Dragon Clan and Ling Xiao to the Silverfrost Valley. What a joke. The sinister voice rang out, but his words caused Zining, Er's body to tremble violently. Her face was drained of blood and she was completely stunned. There was only one thought in her mind. The Purple Moon Divine Clan had been destroyed, and she was the last person of the Purple Moon Divine Clan. Bookmark for easy reading. Chapter 2699. Zining was filled with despair. She had planned to hide from the world as soon as she returned to the Purple Moon Divine Clan. She did not expect the clan to be wiped out. Moreover, she did not even have the slightest thought of revenge when facing 3 great heavenly venerables. Maybe Ling Xiao can kill them. Zining suddenly had a thought. Even though she hated Ling Xiao to the bone, she was also filled with hatred for the 3 Empyreans in front of her. These 3 Empyreans seemed to want to take revenge on Ling Xiao, and if they were allowed to bite each other no matter who died, it would be considered as revenge for the Purple Moon Divine race. Moreover, Zining believed that whether it was Ling Xiao or the 3 heavenly venerables, they would most likely die at the hands of Her Highness. Zining made up her mind. She could not die like this. She had to take revenge for the Purple Moon Divine Clan. Zining, if you don't tell us the whereabouts of the Dragon Clan and Ling Xiao, don't blame us for searching your soul. A cold voice sounded in the void. I will tell you the whereabouts of the Dragon Clan and Ling Xiao. I can take you there, but please spare my life. After all, I am the only one left from the Purple Moon Divine Clan. I don't want to die like this. Zining said calmly. Smart one, where are they? A cold voice sounded. Ling Xiao and the Dragon God of the Dragon Clan have gone to the center of the Chaos Secret Territory. There is an eternal immortal palace there. Zining said slowly. Eternal immortal palace? I have long heard that the Immortal Clan built an eternal immortal palace in the center of the Chaos Secret Territory. I would like to see it for myself. Lead the way. If they are really in the eternal immortal palace, we will spare your life. Rumble. The 3 figures in the void suddenly released a terrifying wave of energy. Blazing divine light rose and they swept Zining up and disappeared into the void. In the center of the Chaos Secret Territory was an ancient mountain range. Auspicious vapors rose and rays of light shone. The mountain range was majestic and ancient, exuding a desolate and ancient aura. An ancient heavenly palace floated in the sky. It was surrounded by endless chaotic chi and dazzling 9-colored divine light. The heavenly palace was ethereal and otherworldly, as if it was the palace of the celestial emperor, majestic and mysterious. Around the heavenly palace, there were many experts in armor, riding rare birds and strange beasts. Their eyes were like lightning as they inspected the surroundings. Is this the eternal immortal palace? TSK, to actually have a saint as a guard, that celestial highness is really arrogant. On a mountain peak dozens of miles away from the heavenly palace, Ling Xiao and the others concealed their auras and observed the vast heavenly palace in the distance. The old goat's eyes were filled with astonishment. There were more than 100 patrolling warriors around the eternal immortal palace. Each of them was at the Saint Realm, and their strength was unparalleled. And these were only the experts on the surface. As for the experts hiding in the dark, no one knew how many there were. This eternal immortal palace looks like a powerful treasure, as if it doesn't exist in this space-time. There was a strange look in Ling Xiao's eyes as he spoke. He could vaguely sense that there was a powerful space law around the eternal immortal palace. The surrounding void was trembling slightly and emitting mysterious nine-colored clouds. The Celestial Highness was probably in this eternal immortal palace. Then what should we do? Should we just charge in? Long Outyin asked eagerly. Charge in? I'm afraid the Celestial Highness has already discovered us. Let's just go in. I hope he cares about his maidservant. Otherwise, there will be a fierce battle. Ling Xiao said slowly. Rumble. At this moment, the eternal immortal palace suddenly shone brightly, and an incomparably strange voice rang out in the void. The Chosen One and the son of the Celestial Emperor, since you have arrived, please come in. The voice was ethereal and mysterious. It was the voice of the Celestial Highness. The eternal immortal palace shone with a dazzling divine light as the two ancient doors slowly opened. The patrolling warriors lined up on both sides, as if they were welcoming important guests. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian looked at each other, and their eyes flashed. Although they had concealed their auras, they could not hide from the Celestial Highness's senses. Let's go, Ling Xiao said slowly. Since they had been discovered, they did not hide their auras anymore. They leaped up and flew towards the eternal immortal palace. The closer they got to the eternal immortal palace, the more Ling Xiao could feel a powerful fluctuation within it. It was as if it could destroy everything. This was a powerful treasure. Ling Xiao and the others stopped in front of the eternal immortal palace. They did not enter directly. Your Highness, we are here. If you still care about your maidservant's life, please hand the people of the 4 sacred tribes to me. Ling Xiao's eyes were calm as he stared at the eternal immortal palace. Whoosh! Zhao Ritian waved his sleeve and the maidservant in white, whose cultivation had been sealed, flew out of the Yen Emperor cauldron, and landed in front of Zhao Ritian. The old goat, Taoist Wuliang, Long Outyin, and the others looked around vigilantly as if they were ready to fight at any time. Bai Ling has already been defeated by you, so her only fate is death. Do you think you can exchange her for the people of the 4 sacred tribes? His Highness's voice was calm and ethereal. He still did not show himself. After hearing His Highness's voice, the maidservant in white trembled. Her eyes were filled with fanaticism as she said, Your Highness is right. I have been defeated by you. Death is my only fate. You will also die. No one can threaten His Highness. Rumble. As soon as the maidservant in white finished speaking, her body began to tremble violently. A strange flame rose up and emitted 7-colored immortal light. Her entire body began to burn. Oh no! Ling Xiao's face changed. He did not expect the maidservant in white to commit suicide. She did not seem to have any resentment towards His Highness, and was willing to die. Zhao Ritian also activated the Emperor Yen cauldron in an instant, wanting to break through the 7-colored flame around the white-robed maidservant and save her. However, he did not expect the 7-colored flame to be so strange that even the Emperor Yen cauldron could not extinguish it. Soon, the maidservant in white turned into ashes. She was completely gone. Whoosh! The ancient black sword on the white-robed maidservant's body turned into a stream of light and shot into the eternal immortal palace, disappearing without a trace. Clang! Clang! Clang. The patrolling warriors around the eternal immortal palace looked at them with fierce hostility. They drew out their powerful weapons and locked on to Ling Xiao and the others. Ling Xiao and the others' eyes flashed. Their fighting spirit rose, and they confronted the patrolling warriors. It was as if a fierce battle would break out at any moment. Chapter 2700. Ling Xiao did not expect the immortal tribe's methods to be so strange. The white-robed maidservant's cultivation had been sealed by Zhao Ritian, but she was still able to produce the 7-colored immortal fire and turn into ashes. Sui Dream Xiao and I. Even the Yin Emperor's Cauldron, a fire attribute emperor weapon, could not destroy the 7-colored immortal fire. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold as ice. He stared at the eternal immortal palace in front of him, and a terrifying aura rose around him. In Ling Xiao's opinion, this fierce battle was unavoidable. He could only barge into the eternal immortal palace to save the other 4 sacred clans. Ling Xiao, don't you want to save the 4 sacred clans? Why don't we make a bet? His Highness' voice rang out from the eternal immortal palace. What bet? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he asked. It's simple. I've set up 3 obstacles in the eternal immortal palace. As long as you pass through them in 3 days, you'll be able to see the 4 sacred clans. If you fail, they'll all die in 3 days. Their fates are in your hands. Whether they live or die depends on you. His Highness said calmly. Do I have a choice? Ling Xiao asked calmly. Of course you do. You can choose to leave this place now. As long as you hand over the Dragon Monarch, you'll be able to leave unharmed. Otherwise, you can only choose to pass the test I've set. His Highness smiled faintly. If that's the case, let's begin. Ling Xiao said calmly. They were in a passive position now, while His Highness had the initiative. If he wanted to save the 4 sacred clans, Ling Xiao could only follow His Highness' plan. As for what this immortal highness was plotting, Ling Xiao had no idea for the time being. However, he knew that only by saving the people of the 4 sacred beast clans would he be able to take the initiative. Great. If that's the case, come in. Remember, only you can come in. Once you enter the eternal immortal palace, you'll naturally see my test. I'll remind you one last time. You only have 3 days. His Highness smiled faintly. All right. Ling Xiao nodded and said. Ling Xiao, let me go in. The immortal race's highness clearly doesn't have good intentions. This eternal immortal palace might be a dragon's pool or a tiger's den. You'll definitely be in danger if you go in. Zhao Ritian said worriedly. I'm fine. He said that only I can go in, so I'll go in. Stay outside the eternal immortal palace. Be careful of His Highness. Do not enter the eternal immortal palace. Ling Xiao said seriously. Ling Xiao, be careful. Old Goat and the others said worriedly. The immortal race's highness gave them too much pressure. Moreover, this highness' actions were unpredictable and unconstrained. Moreover, no one knew what his true intentions were. Entering the eternal immortal palace alone was tantamount to entering a tiger's den. Don't worry. Ling Xiao gave them a reassuring smile before he turned and walked into the eternal immortal palace. Rumble. Ling Xiao walked into the eternal palace of the immortals. Instantly, dazzling divine light gushed out. The 9-colored divine light was dazzling. The 2 ancient doors closed once again. Finally, a friendly reminder. Your enemies seem to have come to the eternal immortal palace. I hope you can avoid this calamity. His Highness' calm voice rang out. Then, the patrolling warriors around the eternal immortal palace disappeared in a flash of light. The eternal immortal palace seemed to have been sealed away. It was extremely quiet. Enemies? Old Goat and Taoist Wuyang's expressions changed. What kind of enemies could they have in the Chaos Secret Territory? Rumble. At this moment, an incomparably powerful aura descended upon the eternal immortal palace. 3 terrifying figures appeared in the void. Each of them was surrounded by dazzling divine light, and overflowing with powerful Saint Dao aura. All of them stood at the pinnacle of the Saint Dao. Their cold eyes instantly locked onto Long Out Yin, Old Goat, and the others. Most importantly, beside the 3 figures, there was a beautiful woman in a purple dress. It was Zining. Zining, why are you here? Zhao Ritian's expression changed. He stared at the 3 figures in the void with a solemn expression. The 3 figures' auras were extremely powerful. They were actually heavenly venerables. Why can't I be here? You have killed the people of my Purple Moon Divine Clan. These 3 heavenly venerables are here to avenge my Purple Moon Divine Clan. Zining sneered as she looked at Zhao Ritian. She did not hide the hatred in her eyes. The Dragon Clan is indeed here. Where is Ling Xiao? A cold voice resounded in the void like a thunderclap. Who are you? Why are you looking for Ling Xiao? Old Goat asked cautiously. He was very confused. The most powerful Great Elder of the Purple Moon Divine Clan had died at the hands of Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. Where did these three heavenly venerables come from? Who are we? The Dragon Clan's memory is really bad. A few months ago, you killed Heavenly Venerate Mo Kuei, and one of the Demon King's avatars. Today is the day you die. The cold voice contained an incomparably blazing killing intent. Rumble. The three powerful figures appeared. They were three old men in black robes. Each of them had a ruddy complexion and white hair. Their faces were clear and they looked like sages. However, their faces were incomparably cold, and their eyes were filled with cold killing intent. You are the three heavenly venerables under the Demon King? Long Outyan's expression changed as he exclaimed. The mysterious Demon King of the Demon World had 4 heavenly venerables under him. Previously, Ling Xiao had killed Heavenly Venerate Mo Kuei, and one of the Demon King's avatars at the Thousand Dragons Sacred Mountain. He had thoroughly offended the Demon King. He did not expect revenge to come so quickly. The 3 heavenly venerables under the Demon King had used some unknown method to enter the Chaos Secret Realm to seek revenge on the Dragon Clan and Ling Xiao. Where is Ling Xiao? I don't want to ask a second time. A black-robed old man said coldly. If you want to know where Ling Xiao is, then let's see what you're capable of. Zhao Ritian's eyes shone brightly as the heavenly Dao Emperor sword in his hand shone brightly. It trembled slightly and emitted a blinding sword light as he pointed it at the 3 heavenly venerables. Looks like there's going to be a fierce battle today. Taoist Wuliang and the old goat looked at each other and said solemnly. With the arrival of 3 heavenly venerables, it was impossible to escape. Furthermore, Ling Xiao was still in the eternal immortal palace. They could only fight to the death. Moreover, with Zhao Ritian around, they might be able to put up a fight. Rumble. A terrifying aura erupted as the void rumbled like thunder. A fierce battle was about to break out at any time. At this moment, Ling Xiao had already entered the eternal immortal palace. He did not know that the 3 heavenly venerables under the Demon King had already followed his footsteps. Ling Xiao was attracted by the test left behind by the Demon King. Chapter 2701. As soon as Ling Xiao entered the eternal immortal palace, the scenery around him changed instantly. Endless flames rose, and scorching hot lava flowed like a great river. Strange flames floated in the air, as if they were sentient, capable of burning everything. The void here was burning and became extremely distorted. Time and space were in chaos. The terrifying flames and chaotic airflow were extremely terrifying. The moment Ling Xiao entered this place, he immediately felt an extremely scorching sensation. The clothes on his body were instantly reduced to dust. The flames sensed Ling Xiao's existence and instantly surged towards him. The sea of fire boiled and transformed into all kinds of mysterious creatures that contained extreme destructive power. It was as if the origin of the flames wanted to turn Ling Xiao into ashes. Is this the test left behind by the Immortal Clan's Highness? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and his expression became serious. He could feel that the chaotic flames around him were actually the pure origin of the flames. It was extremely terrifying. Even if a heavenly venerable expert came here, he would not be able to last long, and would be turned into ashes. Only immortal emperors who had comprehended the Great Path origin could withstand the power of the flames. Although Ling Xiao's cultivation was extraordinary, and he had even condensed 3,000 nomological laws of the Great Path when he was at the Great Saint Realm, he had not comprehended the Great Path origin. Therefore, he felt extremely threatened as soon as he entered the Sea of Fire. Rumble. Endless flames surged and turned into shadows of fire divine dragons, fire phoenixes, fire cheilants, and other ancient divine beasts. They circled around Ling Xiao and spat out blazing flames. Although Ling Xiao's physical body was extremely strong, and had condensed the Hongmeng immortal body, it still started to crack in the face of the burning power of the flame origin source. Boundless flesh and blood turned to ashes, and in an instant, only a golden skeleton was left. This is not an illusion. This is the true origin of the flames. Could this be the origin of the flames that the Immortal Clan's Highness comprehended? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Although he had been caught off guard and suffered unimaginable injuries, the more dangerous the situation was, the calmer he felt. The chaotic flames in the surroundings surged as if they had been bestowed with some sort of spirituality. Many powerful creatures emerged from the sea of flames and began to attack Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a strange light. He simply sat down in the middle of the sea of fire. The flesh on Ling Xiao's body had completely disappeared, leaving behind only a golden skeleton. However, his heart was still beating like a resplendent sun, spewing out endless vitality. Ling Xiao's head was also glowing. Mysterious runes of the Great Path intertwined, and divine chains of order encircled him. A mysterious scene of enlightenment appeared around him. Ling Xiao's head had merged with the wordless heavenly scripture, and his heart had merged with the jade disk of creation. His bones were all stained with the power of these two chaos supreme treasures, which was why he wasn't burned into ashes by the chaos fire. This was one of the drawbacks of the Ling Xiao primordial immortal physique. Although he had condensed the primordial immortal physique, it wasn't complete. His physical body was only at the initial stage of merging with the two chaos supreme treasures. It wasn't the leakless real body yet. If the chaos supreme treasures were completely merged, the jade disk of creation and the wordless heavenly scripture would completely disappear from this world. They wouldn't be able to be pulled out of Ling Xiao's physical body at any time. Ling Xiao already knew that this would be the result, so he didn't stop it. The power of the chaotic flames was extremely terrifying. It could even kill a celestial venerable expert, but it couldn't pose a fatal threat to Ling Xiao. The power of the origin of these flames is too strong. It's boundless. Even an imperial emperor expert can't unleash such a powerful origin of power, right? What is His Highness' test? Passing through this sea of fire? Ling Xiao guessed in his heart. He was a little doubtful. Rumble. However, in Ling Xiao's body, the tree of holy road bloomed with resplendent light. The surrounding chaotic flames couldn't pose a fatal threat to Ling Xiao. Instead, Ling Xiao began to comprehend the origin of the flames with the support of the jade disk of creation. Ling Xiao's comprehension of the great path of flames began to improve by leaps and bounds. Ling Xiao even used the sky-devouring secret skill to merge the surrounding chaotic flames into his sky-devouring fire. Although his sky-devouring fire was powerful, it didn't pose any threat to a Saint King expert. However, if his sky-devouring fire was merged with the origin of flames, even a celestial venerable expert would be burned to ashes. Ling Xiao tried again and again. The sky-devouring fire was a Tao flame formed by the sky-devouring Great Path. Unless Ling Xiao could comprehend the origin of the sky-devouring Great Path, the sky-devouring fire could completely transform. Now, Ling Xiao was using the sky-devouring fire to devour the surrounding chaotic flames. It was like an ant trying to devour an elephant. He kept failing as if there was no chance of success. However, Ling Xiao wasn't discouraged. He kept trying again and again. Moreover, as Ling Xiao's comprehension of the origin of flames improved by leaps and bounds, the power of the sky-devouring fire seemed to have begun to increase. The surrounding chaotic flames continued to burn Ling Xiao's golden skeleton, causing his bones to become even more crystalline and translucent. They were branded with mysterious patterns that contained immortal fluctuations. His body also began to be tainted with a layer of chaotic flame aura. He had a slight affinity with the surrounding flames. Although the surrounding sea of flames was still attacking him, Ling Xiao could feel that he was like a drowning person who had finally learned how to swim. The water was no longer a hindrance and began to become a driving force. This transformation seemed to be a qualitative change. It allowed Ling Xiao to refine the chaotic flames at a much faster speed. Finally, after Ling Xiao failed thousands of times, a wisp of chaotic flame merged into the sky-devouring fire. The sky-devouring fire seemed to have undergone some strange changes, and instantly burned fiercely. 9-colored divine light spewed out from the sky-devouring fire. Mysterious great path nomological laws lingered. The sky-devouring fire constantly changed shape. In the end, it turned into a strange and illusory 9-colored lotus flower. The 9-colored lotus flower was only the size of a palm, but it contained an extremely terrifying devouring power. It was more than 100 times stronger than the previous devouring power. Rumble. As the 9-colored lotus flower appeared in the void, the surrounding chaotic flames actually surged towards the 9-colored lotus flower in a frenzy. Ling Xiao saw that the originally illusory 9-colored lotus flower began to gradually solidify. It was like a golden lotus that grew out of a raging fire. It contained a power that could destroy heaven and earth. Third sect leader. Chapter 2702. In the end, the 9-colored lotus could no longer devour any more chaotic flames and slowly flew back into Ling Xiao's body. I actually captured the origin of the flames? I've struck gold. Once the heaven-devouring fire explodes, even a heavenly venerable would be burned to ashes. Ling Xiao was overjoyed. The heaven-devouring fire had actually transformed. This was a change that he had not expected. This way, his understanding of the heaven-devouring Great Tao had also improved by leaps and bounds. Perhaps he would soon be able to understand the origin of the heaven-devouring Great Tao. Furthermore, Ling Xiao could feel that after being refined by the chaotic flames, his golden skeleton had become even more solid. Even his flesh and blood had undergone some changes. Although his heart had spewed out a vast amount of life origin, it had quickly turned into ashes after forming flesh and blood. However, his flesh and blood had gradually wriggled and formed a layer of strange meridians on the surface of his bones. Ling Xiao's entire body was filled with dazzling purple qi. He could feel that his primordial immortal body had become more complete. Perhaps it would not be long before he would be completely complete. The chaotic flames might be incomparably dangerous to ordinary people. Even a heavenly venerable would fall in front of them. But to Ling Xiao, it was a genuine opportunity and opportunity. That Highness is so kind as to give me such a great opportunity. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with doubt. He was extremely vigilant. From the moment he stepped into the sea of chaotic flames until now, he had been very vigilant. However, he had not discovered that His Highness had left behind any traps to kill him. A day had passed. Ling Xiao did not choose to continue cultivating. Instead, he walked into the depths of the sea of chaotic flames. Although the sea of chaotic flames was extremely powerful, it only spanned a radius of 10,000 miles. This distance could be said to be covered in the blink of an eye for Ling Xiao. Soon he arrived at the edge of the sea of chaotic flames. In front of Ling Xiao, chaotic fog filled the air. Dazzling divine light intertwined as if it was a grotesque and variegated world. Although Ling Xiao did not know what was in front of him, he could vaguely sense that it was probably the second test of His Highness. Buzz. Ling Xiao took a step forward, and a majestic aura of life rose around him. His flesh and blood condensed again, turning into a handsome and strong young man. His black hair fluttered, and his eyes shone brightly. He entered the strange barrier. The place where Ling Xiao appeared was a primeval forest full of vitality. Surrounded by mountains, green mountains, towering ancient trees, and all kinds of exotic flowers and herbs could be seen everywhere. All the animals and plants were full of vitality. This place was extremely tranquil and peaceful, like a paradise. Ling Xiao could not help but have the misconception that the sea of chaotic flames was just an illusion. No, this is an illusion. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He instinctively felt a strong sense of danger, and couldn't help but take a step forward. Rumble. Just as Ling Xiao took a step forward, the scenery around him changed drastically. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and heavy rain poured down. Dark clouds rolled in the sky, as if a huge hole had appeared. Endless torrents of water poured down, drowning the earth, mountains, and plateaus. The apocalyptic scene around them was terrifying to the extreme. As for Ling Xiao, he seemed to have lost all his cultivation and turned into an ordinary person. He was incomparably weak and powerless. Facing the torrent around him, there was nothing he could do. He could only wait for death to descend. Crack! A black bolt of lightning pierced through the void and instantly pierced through Ling Xiao's body, turning him into ashes. Then endless torrents surged, and he instantly disappeared from this world. Ling Xiao felt as though his soul had suddenly fallen into a boundless darkness. It was as though his soul had been shattered and completely dissipated. As the saying went, there was great terror between life and death. Ling Xiao once again felt the terror of death. It was an incomparably real feeling that made him sink into it forever. Phew! What a terrifying illusion! Ling Xiao suddenly opened his eyes. He was sweating profusely, and there was a trace of fear in his eyes. He was still standing in the ancient forest and had just taken a step forward. Even though Ling Xiao knew that the apocalyptic scene just now was just an illusion, that illusion was extremely terrifying and made him feel that it was incomparably real. Rumble. Moreover, Ling Xiao felt as if there was a strange force driving him to continuously take a step forward. The scene before Ling Xiao's eyes changed again. At this moment, he appeared on the battlefield where thousands of soldiers and horses were fighting. Blade light and sword shadows were everywhere. Flesh and blood were flying everywhere. Endless qi and blood converged into blood-colored smoke signals that soared into the sky. Terrifying killing intent intertwined. The eyes of the soldiers who were fighting around him were filled with frenzied killing intent. Ling Xiao still lost all his cultivation. In the end, he was hacked to death by a few enemy soldiers. He could even feel the coldness of the blades cutting into his flesh. Blood splattered everywhere, and broken limbs flew everywhere. He fell to the ground with a loud bang. The last scene he saw was a pair of cold and frenzied eyes. He even felt an unwillingness and despair in his heart. That feeling was incomparably real. In the face of death, even a supreme emperor could not be so calm. The feeling of death was so real. Once he thought that he was really dead, his soul would probably shatter instantly. He would sink into darkness forever, leaving only a soulless shell. However, Ling Xiao suddenly felt that the two deaths had increased the power of his primordial spirit by a lot. His cultivation realm had also begun to rise. It was an extremely strange feeling. Ling Xiao simply closed his eyes. The power of his primordial spirit spread out and slowly radiated in all directions. After closing his eyes, it was as if he could see the world more clearly. The void around him was distorted. Strange runes intertwined. The mysterious power of a formation enveloped him, forming an extremely vast and powerful formation boundary. In this formation boundary, space overlapped as if it was endless. It was constantly evolving and then disappearing. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit seemed to be floating in this endless space, experiencing all kinds of strange illusions. He could not even find a way to leave the formation boundary. This is actually a natural illusion formation? It's so perfect without any flaws. This can't be a formation set up by the Immortal's Highness. What is this place? Ling Xiao's heart trembled. He became more and more suspicious. Previously, the Immortal's Highness had left him 3 tests. As long as he passed the 3 tests, he would be able to see the people of the 4 sacred tribes. However, Ling Xiao now suspected that the so-called tests were not left behind by the Immortal's Highness. What exactly was the Immortal's Highness planning? Third Sect Master. Chapter 2703. Although Ling Xiao had his suspicions, in this natural illusory formation his primordial spirit was passively sent into one illusory world after another, passively accepting the test. Ling Xiao had yet to find a way to break the formation. If this continued, Ling Xiao felt that sooner or later, his soul would be completely destroyed and he would sink into endless darkness. While Ling Xiao was trapped in the strange natural illusion, a pair of eyes were watching his every move. In a mysterious and ancient palace, immortal light filled the air and auspicious vapors rose. The immortal clan's majesty was casually reclining on a white jade couch. He looked valiant and spirited. His eyes seemed to be able to reflect the heavens, exuding an incomparably mysterious aura. A woman in white stood behind him. Her slender jade-like hands were sparkling and translucent like jade, flawless and flawless. She was currently massaging the immortal clan's majesty's shoulders. The woman in white had a beautiful face and a cold temperament. Her eyes were filled with lofty arrogance. However, her gaze towards the immortal clan's majesty was filled with fanatical worship. Her eyes were full of charm and flirtatiousness. If Ling Xiao were here, he would definitely recognize that this woman in white was the servant in white who had been burned to ashes by the rainbow immortal fire, by Ling. Your Majesty, do you really think Ling Xiao can break the seal on the great wilderness's heart? Bai Ling's eyes were filled with curiosity as she asked. Perhaps he can. After all, he's the chosen one and possesses the fortune of the heavenly Tao. No one knows whether he can pass the 3rd trial or not. However, if he can really pass the 3rd trial and break the seal on the great wilderness's heart, then our trip will be complete. the Immortal Clan's Majesty said lazily. He held a cup of fragrant immortal wine in his hand, and took a sip before handing it to Bai Ling behind him. Thank you for your reward, Your Majesty. However, Your Majesty, if Ling Xiao really does break the seal on the Great Wilderness's heart, will you really hand over the 4 sacred clans to him? Bai Ling carefully received the cup and downed it in one gulp. Her eyes were filled with intoxication. The 4 sacred clans are but a bunch of ants. The 4 sacred clans still have 4 old monsters. I can't control the demon realm with just them. As long as Ling Xiao is willing to hand over his fortune of the heavenly Tao to me, what's wrong with me sparing their lives? His Highness said faintly with a very relaxed tone. Your Highness is truly benevolent. What kind of heaven's chosen child was Ling Xiao? Only His Highness was worthy of obtaining the heavenly Tao's providence. In this servant's opinion, we should kill them all to prevent future troubles. Bai Ling's eyes revealed a hint of viciousness. It was obvious that she still held a grudge against Ling Xiao. If it weren't for Ling Xiao, she wouldn't have burned herself with the 7-colored celestial fire, and made Her Highness pay a great price to revive her. Bai Ling, we the immortal race, are destined to rule the heavens in the future. They will be our subjects and servants in the future. We can't treat them too harshly. However, I see that this Ling Xiao's talent is not bad. He has the qualifications to be this consort's servant. His Highness said with a strange look in his eyes. I'm just afraid that this lad won't be willing to be under someone else and will be arrogant and unruly. He won't understand Your Highness' good intentions. Bai Ling sneered. If he really doesn't know what's good for him, I'll hand him over to you when the time comes. How about that? His Highness said with a smile. Thank you, Your Highness. Bai Ling's eyes immediately lit up. She stared at the light screen in front of her. Ling Xiao was sitting cross-legged in the natural illusion. It was as if he was trapped and couldn't pass the second test. She didn't believe that Ling Xiao could break the seal of the third test and open the Great Wilderness's heart. After all, this was something that even Her Highness couldn't do. However, regardless of whether Ling Xiao could open the seal of the Great Wilderness's heart, Ling Xiao was doomed in Bai Ling's heart. In the natural illusion formation, Ling Xiao's soul experienced life and death over and over again. The power of his primordial spirit had also increased by 30%. His cultivation had also improved by leaps and bounds. Soon he had reached the peak of the Saint King realm. Moreover, Ling Xiao's soul had also become much stronger. In this life and death situation, it even began to emit an immortal aura. This kind of improvement was somewhat excessive, but it wasn't something that Ling Xiao could control. Even a saint ruler would have fallen long ago under such a powerful life and death voids. However, Ling Xiao was still persevering. His primordial spirit had completely spread out, forming an extremely strange domain that enveloped the surrounding void. He wanted to find a way to break out of the formation. Life and death illusion. This natural illusion formation only targets the soul, not the physical body. Perhaps I can use the strength of my physical body to forcefully break out of the formation. A trace of understanding appeared in Ling Xiao's heart. Boom. Just as Ling Xiao's soul died in the illusion again and returned to his body, an extremely terrifying energy fluctuation erupted from Ling Xiao's body. He punched the void in front of him. As if thunder had exploded, the void in front of Ling Xiao trembled violently. It was as if something had collapsed. A strange aura spread out, causing a flaw to appear in the natural illusion formation. Now, Ling Xiao suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes shone brightly. In an instant, an extremely powerful energy fluctuation erupted from his body. The void in all directions trembled violently. He shot forward like a bolt of golden lightning. Boom! It was as if Ling Xiao had collided with a huge mountain, causing a loud explosion. However, Ling Xiao's body did not stop at all. He smashed the huge mountain into pieces and charged out. Crack! All the illusions in front of him disappeared. Ling Xiao saw that the mountain he had smashed into was actually an incomparably thick and sturdy tree. At this moment, it had completely shattered, and its branches and leaves had turned into fine powder. A strange liquid covered Ling Xiao's entire body, emitting a strange fragrance. Only then did Ling Xiao realize that there was actually a stretch of towering ancient trees around him. Each of them was thousands of feet tall. The trunks were thick enough for dozens of people to wrap their arms around. Thick tentacles grew on the trees, and strange flowers bloomed. The air was filled with a pink mist, and the fragrance assailed his nostrils. It was these towering ancient trees that had formed a powerful natural illusion, causing Ling Xiao to sink into it and be unable to extricate himself. Ling Xiao unleashed his powerful physical strength and shattered a towering ancient tree. Only then was he able to break out of the formation. So many people have fallen here? Seeing the scene in the towering ancient trees, Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, revealing a look of incomparable shock. In the center of the towering ancient trees, there were hundreds of powerful corpses. They looked like glowing treasures, and their bodies were resplendent. They were at least saint kings. However, their souls had completely dissipated, leaving behind only their powerful bodies. They had died silently here. This scene was extremely shocking. Chapter 2704. Those towering ancient trees were glowing all over like transparent crystals. Their tentacles were constantly waving, forming an extremely mysterious natural illusion formation between them. Ling Xiao could feel the immense spiritual energy within. It was as vast as the sea. The spiritual energy of each ancient tree far exceeded that of a celestial master. The tentacles and the strange fragrance formed a powerful natural illusory formation, causing the experts to sink into it. If Ling Xiao had not destroyed one of the ancient trees with his strong physical body, it would have been extremely difficult for him to leave the area covered by the natural illusory formation. However, what Ling Xiao did not expect was that there were actually several hundred saint kings that had fallen here. The corpses exuded immortal energy waves. The physical body of a saint king could remain immortal for hundreds of millions of years. It contained the power of the Great Way, and could be called the body of the great laws. The sight of so many saint kings gathered together was extremely shocking. These saint kings are probably the people who have barged into the untainted territory for hundreds of millions of years. However, they were unable to leave the natural illusory formation. Their souls dissipated and only their bodies were left. In that case, this is no longer the eternal celestial palace. Ling Xiao thought to himself as a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. The space that Ling Xiao was in was like an incomparably huge underground cave. The surroundings were dusky, and only a faint light flickered. The surrounding air was incomparably hot, and towering ancient trees were uprooted from the ground. It was a very strange sight. When he faced the endless chaotic flame and magma in the first stage, Ling Xiao was a little suspicious. Even an imperial emperor would find it difficult to set up such a vast flame origin. Although Ling Xiao did not know what the ancient trees in front of him were, they had grown for hundreds of millions of years. They contained boundless life force and extremely powerful spiritual energy. The environment here looked very real. Ling Xiao suspected that this was no longer the eternal heavenly palace. This place looks like the depths of the earth. Could this be the underground of the untainted territory? Ling Xiao thought to himself. However, Ling Xiao was soon attracted by the scene in front of him. He walked out of the range of the natural illusion formation. Suddenly, he sensed a weak light flickering in front of him. It looked extremely pure and contained powerful energy waves. Ling Xiao strode forward. He was surrounded by gray fog, but the light in front of him grew brighter and brighter. In the end, it was as if a resplendent sun had burst out, emitting millions of rays of dazzling light. Only then did Ling Xiao realize that the light source of this space was right in front of his eyes. After he passed through the gray fog of chaos, there was no longer any obstruction. The scene before him was clearly presented in front of him. In the void before Ling Xiao floated a strange crystal. It was about the height of a person, and vaguely resembled a human. It had 9 orifices and emitted 9-colored divine light. Auspicious qi rose and divine light spread out. It was like a heart that was slightly beating. It was that crystal that was emitting boundless light, becoming the only source of light in this mysterious space. However, there was an incomparably huge transparent barrier around the crystal. It did not look very big, only a few hundred meters in radius. However, it was like a mysterious halo, sealing the crystal within. What is this? Could this crystal be the third test that the Immortal's Highness mentioned? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of doubt. The resplendent crystal was like a blazing sun, but also like a beating heart. Every time it beat, it emitted a strange rhythm, causing Ling Xiao's heart to beat along with it. Ling Xiao instinctively felt that this crystal was not simple. Roar! Roar! As if sensing Ling Xiao's arrival, four ancient and mysterious voices suddenly sounded from the transparent barrier. The tiger's roar shook the void, the phoenix's cry pierced through gold and cracked stone. The black tortoise roared into the sea, and the Qilin's roar shook the earth. Above the transparent barrier, four figures with terrifying auras suddenly appeared. One was a huge white tiger, one was a phoenix shrouded in endless flames, one was a ferocious black tortoise that could overturn seas and rivers, and one was a Qilin that exuded a five-colored radiance and an auspicious aura. White tiger, phoenix, black tortoise, Qilin. The images of the four sacred beasts appeared on the barrier, causing it to tremble slightly. For some reason, Ling Xiao felt that the four sacred beasts in front of him were not complete, as if they were still missing something to completely open the seal of the transparent barrier. Could it be that they're still missing the primordial ancestor dragon? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He had a premonition that when he saw the resplendent crystal in front of him, all the blood in his body seemed to boil, wanting to rush out of his body and erupt with a vast dragon's roar, echoing the four sacred beasts from afar. It was as if as long as the essence blood of the primordial ancestor dragon flew out of Ling Xiao's body, it would transform into the image of the five sacred beasts and open the seal in front of him. The Immortal's Highness' true objective is this crystal. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. In a flash, he seemed to sense the truth hidden behind the layers of fog. Everything made sense now. The Immortal's Highness controlled the members of the four sacred beasts, but they hadn't killed Ling Xiao. Instead, they'd sent him to undergo the so-called 3 trials. The so-called 3 trials hadn't been left behind by the Immortal's Highness at all. They were probably natural dangers that had existed since the beginning of time. Whether it was the chaos flames, the natural illusion formation, or even the transparent barrier in front of him, they were all meant to protect this strange crystal. If the Immortal's Highness' true objective was this crystal, then all of Ling Xiao's suspicions could be explained. It was because Ling Xiao possessed the bloodline of the primordial ancestor dragon, and was strong enough to pass the first 2 trials. As long as Ling Xiao opened the seal in front of him, the Immortal's Highness would probably immediately appear and snatch the strange crystal. This sounded like a conspiracy, but it was also an open one. The members of the 4 sacred beasts were in the Immortal's Highness' hands. If Ling Xiao wanted to save them, he could only do as the Immortal's Highness requested. As for why the Immortals needed the essence blood of the 5 sacred beasts to open the seal, that was even easier to understand. After all, the Chaos Mystery Realm had been left behind by the 5 sacred beasts. This crystal might very well be a supreme treasure left behind by the primordial ancestor dragon and the other sacred beasts. Unfortunately, even Ling Xiao didn't know what this crystal was. It's the Chaos Heart? At this moment, an old and surprised voice sounded in Ling Xiao's mind. Chapter 2705. Uncle Su, you're awake? When Ling Xiao heard the voice, he was stunned for a moment before a look of surprise appeared on his face. Uncle Su was the weapon spirit of the Great Void Temple. When Ling Xiao died in the battle at Ling Xiao Mountain, Ling Xiao's heart realm was also destroyed. However, since the Great Void Temple had always been in the Void Realm, the Great Void Temple and Uncle Su were only severely injured and were not completely destroyed. Ever since Ling Xiao formed his heart realm, his heart charm scripture had improved by leaps and bounds. He had also completely refined the Great Void Holy Temple. However, Uncle Su had been in a deep slumber in the Great Void Holy Temple and had yet to wake up. Young master, I've also just woken up. You actually came to the untainted secret land and found the untainted heart? This is a great opportunity. Young master, no matter what, you must refine the untainted heart. The untainted heart must not fall into the hands of others. Uncle Su said excitedly. Uncle Su, what's the untainted heart? What does it have to do with the untainted secret land? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Ling Xiao, the untainted heart is the core of the untainted secret land's power. You should know the origin of the Untainted Secret Land. The Untainted Secret Land is a fragment of the Untainted Continent. It's an extremely important fragment. When the Untainted Continent was shattered and turned into the myriad worlds, the Untainted Secret Land was obtained by the archaic dragon, the true phoenix, the white tiger, the black tortoise, and the qilin. In the end, it evolved into a secret land that was controlled by the 5 great sacred tribes. Due to the archaic dragon's incomparable strength, it merged with the bloodline of the 5 great sacred tribes and refined the untainted heart. However, ever since the 5 great sacred beasts transformed into Tao, the 5 great sacred tribes could open the Untainted Secret Land and enter it to train. However, they could no longer completely control the Untainted Secret Land. Countless living beings in the Untainted Mystery Land, including supreme talents from other great thousand worlds, had tried to enter the Untainted Mystery Land to find the Untainted Heart and refine it completely. Unfortunately, no one had found the whereabouts of the Untainted Heart. Back then, the old master had entered the Chaos Secret Realm by chance. Although he found the Chaos Heart in the end, he was unable to refine it, so he could only leave. I didn't expect that the Untainted Heart would be found by you, young master. It seems that you're worthy of being the chosen one with the fate of the way of heaven. As long as you refine the Untainted Heart, you'll have the most solid base in the future when all the heavens merge. Even emperors would find it hard to break through your base. Uncle Su explained excitedly. He explained the origin of the Great Desolation's heart in detail. Was the Great Desolation's heart refined by the primordial ancestral dragon? No wonder when I saw the Great Desolate's heart, the blood in my body would boil and my heart would beat along with it. There was a look of understanding in Ling Zhao's eyes. Young master, refining the Great Desolation's heart is equivalent to controlling the entire Untainted Secret Land. Once all the heavens merge, and you control the Great Desolation's heart, the Untainted Secret Land will become a realm of its own. When the Untainted Formation is activated, you will have the most solid base. Your family and friends will be able to live in the Untainted Secret Land. At that time, you will have fewer worries. With the support of the Great Desolation's heart, Master, you will be invincible in the Untainted Secret Land. No one will be able to defeat you. Even if you face a Supreme Emperor, you will be able to put up a fight. Moreover, the Great Desolation's heart has accumulated a vast amount of energy from the Untainted Secret Land for countless years. As long as you refine the Great Desolation's heart, your cultivation will increase tremendously. This is definitely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You must not miss it. Uncle Su hurriedly said. Uncle Su, this Great Desolation's heart was not found by me. It was found by a prince from the immortal tribe. He even captured people from the 4 great sacred clans and fused their blood essence into the seal. His goal was to use me to open the seal on the Great Desolation's heart for him. Ling Xiao sneered and then told Uncle Su about the prince from the immortal tribe. The immortal tribe has also reappeared? It seems that the integration of all the heavens is not far away. Young master, you must not give the Great Desolation's heart to the immortal tribe. However, we can beat them at their own game and trick them once. Uncle Su said in surprise. Trick the immortal tribe once? Uncle Su, what should we do? Ling Zhao's eyes lit up instantly. Young master, you may not know this, but after opening the seal on the Great Desolation's heart, in order to refine the Great Desolation's heart, one must sacrifice a supreme expert, at least in the Saint King realm. Only when the Great Desolation's heart devours the essence of their flesh and blood will it be able to calm the violent Great Desolation force that has accumulated for hundreds of millions of years. Only then can the Great Desolation's heart be refined. Moreover, in order to refine the Great Desolation's heart, one must possess the bloodline of the ancestors of the 5 great sacred clans. In this world, only you, young master, have this qualification. Although the immortal tribe is powerful, I'm afraid they don't know the secrets of the Great Desolation's heart. Moreover, due to the suppression of the Great Desolation's heart, it is absolutely impossible for Emperor Realm experts to enter the Great Desolation's secret realm. According to young master, since the prince from the immortal tribe has the cultivation of an Emperor Realm expert, The one who entered the Great Desolation's secret realm must only be his clone and not his actual body. Uncle Su's eyes flashed with a wisp of wisdom. Many thanks, Uncle Su. Indeed, having an elder in the family is like having a treasure. In that case, let's beat them at their own game. The most important thing now is to rescue the people from the 4 great sacred clans. Ling Zhao's eyes lit up as he spoke with a smile. These were the secrets that the Great Void Emperor had discovered when he entered the Great Desolation's secret realm. Ling Xiao believed that the immortal tribe definitely did not know either. In fact, the prince from the immortal tribe probably still thought that Ling Xiao had not seen through his scheme, and was waiting for Ling Xiao to open the seal on the Great Desolation's heart, so that he could snatch it away. Your Highness, why isn't Ling Xiao moving? Could it be that he's beginning to suspect us? In the ancient palace, Bai Ling looked at Ling Xiao on the void crystal, and asked in confusion. Ling Xiao is the chosen one after all. If he still doesn't have the slightest bit of suspicion, then it would be too disappointing. However, regardless of whether he suspects us or not, he can only choose to open the seal on the Great Desolation's heart. The prince from the immortal tribe smiled faintly as if everything was under his control. At that moment, Ling Xiao suddenly looked into the void, and a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. Your Highness from the immortal tribe, didn't you want me to open the seal on the Great Desolation's heart? I can open the seal, but you must hand over the people from the 4 great sacred clans to me. They're no longer of any use to you. He actually knows about the Great Desolation's heart? The prince from the immortal tribe was slightly taken aback, and a trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. The Great Desolation's heart was extremely secretive. Even the people from the 4 great sacred clans did not know about it. How did Ling Xiao know about it? Third Sect Master. Chapter 2706. I know you can hear what I'm saying. I want to see the people from the 4 great sacred tribes now. As long as you hand them over to me, I'll open the seal immediately. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Your Highness, this Ling Xiao deserves to die. How dare he negotiate with you when he's about to die? Bai Ling's expression turned cold as a trace of icy killing intent appeared in her eyes. Interesting. Not only did he see through our plan, but he also recognizes the Chaos Heart? I'm getting more and more curious about him. Let's go. Since he's negotiating with us, let's meet him. The Immortal Highness smiled faintly as he slowly stood up. An ethereal and otherworldly aura emanated from his body as if a terrifying aura was surging out, causing the surrounding space to distort. Yes. Bai Ling's eyes revealed a trace of reverence as she lowered her head and replied. Whoosh. A dazzling light swept up the Immortal Highness and Bai Ling before they disappeared from the palace. In the next moment, immortal light filled Ling Zhao's eyes as the Immortal Highness and Bai Ling appeared before him. Immortal Highness, this is all part of your plan. However, I'm very curious. Since you've passed the first 2 tests, why can't you open the seal on the Chaos Heart? Why must I open the seal? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he spoke indifferently. Ling Xiao was also extremely shocked by Bai Ling's appearance. He had seen Bai Ling turn into ashes in the 7-colored immortal fire with his own eyes. Now, she had appeared before him in perfect condition. The immortal tribe's methods were truly strange and unfathomable. However, Ling Zhao's face did not reveal the slightest trace of shock. After all, Bai Ling was only a minor character. He was only curious about the Immortal Highness' intentions. Although opening the seal of the Great Wild's heart required the ancestral bloodline of the 5 sacred tribes, Ling Xiao didn't believe that the Immortal's Highness wouldn't be able to capture someone from the Dragon Clan and extract the ancestral dragon's bloodline. Furthermore, the 4 great sacred tribes were in the Immortal Highness' hands. If he used the lives of the 4 great sacred tribes to threaten Ling Xiao would have no choice but to hand over the ancestral dragon bloodline. From Ling Zhao's point of view, it was unnecessary for the immortals to use him to open the seal on the Great Desolate's heart. You don't understand. Opening the seal of the Great Desolation's heart is not something that can be done with the bloodlines of the 5 sacred tribes. His Highness of the immortal race said with a faint smile. You still need my heavenly Tao providence? Ling Xiao suddenly thought of something and asked. Smart. Ling Xiao, didn't you want the 4 saint clans? I can give it to you. With a wave of his sleeve, a dozen figures appeared before Ling Xiao. They were the Phoenix Maiden, by Han Song, Huang Ju, and the rest of the people from the four sacred clans. However, they all seemed to be unconscious at the moment. Moreover, all of them were greatly injured and their vital energy was greatly depleted. With a single glance, Ling Xiao could tell that most of the blood essence in their bodies had been extracted by the celestial race's highness. That was why they had become like this. Ling Xiao was incomparably shocked. He didn't think that the celestial race's highness would hand over the four sacred tribes to him so easily. However, Ling Xiao didn't think too much about it. With a wave of his hand, he summoned a prison steel with heavenly might and sucked the four sacred tribes into it. Ling Xiao, are you very curious as to why I would hand over the four sacred tribes to you so easily? The celestial race's highness asked indifferently. That's right. I am indeed very curious. Ling Xiao nodded and said, it's actually very simple. Even if you didn't ask, I wouldn't kill them. I don't want to offend those four lunatics from the four sacred tribes. The celestial race's highness smiled faintly. You're quite calm. Ling Xiao sneered. The celestial race's highness didn't seem to hear the mockery in Ling Xiao's words. You don't understand. Ling Xiao, you may be the chosen one, but you don't understand this world. You don't understand true power, and you don't understand the strength of the immortal race. Why don't I give you a choice? Become my follower, and I guarantee that you'll be able to prove your Tao and become an emperor. The celestial race's highness looked at Ling Xiao seriously, his expression extremely sincere. Prove one's Tao and become an emperor. These four words were easy to say, but how difficult was it to actually do? Countless geniuses and demons had tried to break through the limits of the Tao and become an emperor, becoming an invincible great emperor. However, they had all failed. Whether it was the great Void Emperor or the fierce Lord Gu Daoyi, which one of them wasn't an outstanding talent of the current era? They were the most dazzling geniuses who ruled over an era, but they had all failed. However, the celestial race's highness had told Ling Xiao with absolute certainty that he could guarantee that Ling Xiao would prove his Tao and become an emperor. However, Ling Xiao suddenly felt that perhaps this wasn't a lie after all. From this sentence, a deep sense of fear towards the celestial race emerged in Ling Xiao's heart. Just how powerful was this immortal race that had existed for billions of years, the legendary master of the first era? Those who walk different paths cannot make plans together. Ling Xiao replied indifferently. That's such a pity. This celestial race's sincerity was actually rejected by you. You're the first person to reject this celestial race. Since you've rejected this celestial race, then you're my enemy. The celestial race's highness said regretfully. Aren't we enemies to begin with? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. You're right, we are enemies to begin with. However, before we become enemies, I believe that you'll fulfill your promise and open the seal on the great wilderness heart, right? The celestial race's highness looked at Ling Xiao and smiled. His tone was extremely relaxed, as if he wasn't worried that Ling Xiao would go back on his word. Of course. Naturally, I'll do what I promised. However, once I open the seal on the great wilderness heart, I'm afraid that your highness might not be able to obtain the great wilderness heart. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Then we'll rely on our own abilities. This celestial race believes that destiny is on my side. What do you think? The celestial race's highness said in an extremely casual manner. I don't believe in destiny. I only believe in myself. Ling Xiao said calmly. After saying that, Ling Xiao turned around and walked towards the huge boundary outside the great wilderness heart. A sharp glint in his eyes. Roar. Ling Xiao directly cut open his arm. Immediately, golden blood gushed out and turned into a golden dragon. It flew towards the barrier like a bolt of lightning. At the same time, it erupted with an incomparably vast dragon roar that reverberated through the void. Your Highness, when Ling Xiao opens the boundary, I'll hold him back while you refine the great wilderness heart. Bai Ling's eyes flashed coldly as she spoke slowly. No. You're no match for him. I'll hold him back while you obtain the great wilderness heart. I believe that you won't disappoint me, right? The celestial race's highness smiled and looked at Bai Ling. Don't worry, your highness. I'll definitely obtain the great wilderness heart for you. Bai Ling's body trembled when the celestial race's highness looked at her. Her eyes were filled with fanaticism and determination as she spoke earnestly. All right. I believe in you. The celestial race's highness smiled. Immortal light filled her eyes and auspicious air flowed. She looked ethereal and mysterious, making her seem unfathomable. P.S. The third update has ended. Everyone rest early. Chapter 2707. Roar. Ling Xiao's qi and blood rose, transforming into a giant golden dragon that coiled around his body. It let out a dragon's roar that shook the heavens and earth, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. The great desolation's heart in front of him seemed to have sensed the ancestral dragon's bloodline in Ling Xiao's body. It trembled violently as if a heart was beating faster and faster, spewing out a blazing light. Above the transparent barrier, the four sacred beasts appeared once again. As if responding to the dragon's roar, they let out a furious roar at the same time. Now's the time. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as his body trembled violently. His vast qi and blood surged toward the barrier once again. It was as if a golden divine dragon had merged with the four sacred beasts in an instant, transforming into 5 sacred beasts. At the same time, they exuded a powerful pressure and spewed out a 5-colored divine glow. The 5-colored divine glow contained the power of the 5 elements. It intertwined and condensed, forming a 5-element divine ring that began to ripple in the surroundings. The originally incomparably sturdy and powerful transparent barrier began to tremble violently, as if it would collapse at any time. Your Highness, the seal is about to be opened. Bai Ling's eyes lit up, and she looked eager to give it a try. Don't rush. If you want to open the seal, you must withstand the backlash of the Great Path. Only Ling Xiao's heavenly fate can do that. When the backlash of the Great Path descends and is about to end, you can rush in and snatch the Great Desolation's heart. The Immortal's Highness said slowly. Thank you for your reminder, Your Highness. I will definitely obtain the Great Desolation's heart for you. Bai Ling's eyes were filled with gratitude. If not for the Immortal's reminder, she would have rushed in and died from the backlash of the Great Path. Be careful. The Immortal's Highness patted Bai Ling's shoulder and said, Rumble. At the same time, the barrier trembled more and more violently. The 5 powerful sacred beast shadows seemed to be about to transform into their true forms and rush out directly. Their auras were extremely terrifying. The originally sturdy and perfect barrier trembled violently. Runes shattered one after another, and the Great Desolation's heart appeared before Ling Xiao's eyes. Suddenly Ling Xiao felt a vast energy of the Grand Tao descend. The surrounding void shook violently. The vast power of the Great Path contained waves that could destroy everything, intertwining with the way and reason. Divine chains of order appeared and wrapped around Ling Xiao's body. Flames of the Great Path even burned within them. Ling Xiao felt as if there were billions of mountains pressing down on him, rendering him immobile in an instant. Is this the backlash from the Great Tao? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, but he did not reveal the slightest trace of panic. Previously, the Celestial Lord had told him that only his heavenly Tao providence could open the seal on the Great Desolate Heart. Ling Xiao had already guessed that opening the seal would result in an incomparably powerful backlash from the Great Tao. The Great Desolation's heart was the power core of the Great Desolation mystic realm. It contained the power of the Great Tao. The primogenitors of the 5 sacred clans sealed the Great Desolation's heart. The transparent boundary itself contained the power of the Great Tao. When Ling Xiao opened the seal and released the Great Desolate Heart, it was equivalent to breaking open the power of the Great Tao. Naturally, he would suffer a backlash from the Great Tao. Within Ling Xiao's body, the mysterious holy Tao tree bloomed with 3,000 dazzling rays of light. It was enigmatic and unfathomable. Rooted in the chaos, it contained the power of the 3,000 Great Tao. It was mysterious and immortal. Ling Xiao's heart also beat violently. The fortune jade disc emitted strands of light of the Great Tao that covered Ling Xiao's entire body. It made him seem holy and mysterious. Ling Xiao seemed to have become the embodiment of the Great Tao. The backlash from the Great Tao that had supported him actually slowly disappeared like snow. Crack. At this moment, the seal of the Great Desolation's heart was completely shattered. The resplendent Great Desolate Heart was like a sun that bloomed with a myriad of rays of light. It radiated with a dignified and ancient ripple that made the depths of one's soul tremble. It was as if one couldn't help but want to kneel down and worship it. Bai Ling, who had been standing guard at the side, instantly soared into the sky. She turned into a dazzling ray of light that surpassed Ling Xiao and reached out to grab the Great Desolate Heart. The Great Desolate Heart can only belong to His Highness. Ling Xiao, you despicable and wretched ant. You don't deserve the Great Desolate Heart. Bai Ling's eyes were filled with excitement and cold indifference. She could even feel the mysterious and holy light of the Great Desolate Heart. It contained an incomparably majestic and violent power. This was a priceless treasure. This priceless treasure can only fall into the hands of His Highness. Boom. However, the moment Bai Ling touched the Great Desolate Heart, her entire body shook violently. A mysterious ripple spread from her body, and Bai Ling's expression instantly froze. She maintained her outstretched hand. The light in her eyes dimmed as if the flame of her life had been completely extinguished. Then, her entire body exploded into a rain of light with a loud bang, and merged with the Great Desolate Heart. After swallowing Bai Ling, the Great Desolate Heart's blazing light slowly receded. Its violent power began to dissipate. In the end, it turned into a human-shaped crystal that was overflowing with light and color. It quietly floated in the void. Boom. Boom. Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness attacked at the same time. They were like two bolts of lightning that streaked across the sky. In an instant, they violently collided in the void. Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness bodies shook violently. Then the two of them retreated at the same time. The Great Desolate Heart was between Ling Xiao and the Immortal Highness. However, when their gazes met, it was as if solid lightning had collided, exploding into a blazing light. As expected of the Heaven's Chosen One who possesses the fortune of the heavenly Tao, you actually managed to resolve the backlash of the Great Tao so quickly. How astonishing! The Immortal Highness sighed softly. Your Highness is also very impressive. I never thought that your Highness would have already known that the Great Desolate Heart required a sacrifice. You actually did not hesitate to sacrifice your maidservant. I'm afraid that your maidservant would not even know that you had used her as cannon fodder, until she died. Ling Xiao laughed coldly. If I told you that I also did not know that the Great Desolate Heart required a sacrifice, would you believe me? The Immortal Highness looked indifferently at Ling Xiao as he spoke. I believe you. A Heaven's Chosen One like you, high and mighty, has probably long been used to being cautious. Even if you did not know that the Great Desolate Heart required a sacrifice, you would not have done it yourself. You would have needed others to share the risk for you. At a critical moment, even the closest person would be heartlessly abandoned by you. Ling Xiao said indifferently. He did not conceal the mockery in his eyes at all. You're very smart. However, we both want the Great Desolate Heart. What do you think we should do? The Immortal Highness smiled faintly. What should we do? Then let's fight. The winner will have the Great Desolate Heart, and everything of the other party. The loser dies. Killing intent rose in Ling Xiao's eyes. In an instant, an incomparably powerful battle intent erupted from his body. He soared through the sky and charged towards the Immortal Highness. Chapter 2708. Not only was the celestial race's Royal Highness unfathomably powerful, but he was also extremely scheming. Ling Xiao did not know how many tricks he had up his sleeves, so he decided to strike first and kill the celestial race's Royal Highness with lightning speed. After Ling Xiao had broken through to the Saint King realm, his strength had skyrocketed. Even without the help of an extreme Path Emperor weapon, he was confident that he could kill a heavenly venerate expert. As long as the celestial race's Royal Highness did not descend in person, Ling Xiao was confident that he could kill him. This was the belief of being invincible. He was invincible. Ling Xiao, hold on. The celestial race's Royal Highness turned into a stream of light and dodged Ling Xiao's powerful attack. His eyes revealed a strange look. Look, what is this? The celestial race's Royal Highness smiled and waved his hand. Immediately, A bright light screen appeared in front of Ling Xiao, displaying the scene outside the eternal immortal palace. Zhao Ritian, Old Goat, Daoist Wuliang, Long Outyin, and Long Xiaoxiao were fighting a bloody battle. At this moment, they were completely at a disadvantage and seemed to be in imminent danger. The three heavenly venerates were surrounding the five of them. The three heavenly venerates were extremely powerful. At this moment, they were unleashing their full strength. Their saint aura was as vast as the sea, and their fighting strength was extremely strong. Even though Zhao Ritian had an extreme Path Emperor weapon, he was only a great saint. Two of the heavenly venerates joined forces and suppressed Zhao Ritian firmly. The other heavenly venerate expert had the absolute upper hand. Old Goat, Long Outyin, and the others were in imminent danger, as if they would die at the hands of the heavenly venerate at any moment. Damn it! Who are they? Ling Xiao's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with rage. Ling Xiao, please tell me your choice now. Do you choose to fight with me here to decide the ownership of the wilderness's heart, or do you choose to save them? I believe that the heaven's chosen one, who is loyal and affectionate, will definitely not care about the wilderness's heart. You will definitely choose to save them. Am I right? The celestial race's Royal Highness said with a smile, as if everything was under his control. Although Ling Xiao could not help but want to kick the celestial race's Royal Highness's face a few times, he suppressed it. At this moment, he turned into a bolt of lightning and shot out rapidly. Your Highness of the immortal race, wait for me to kill those three celestial venerables, then I'll kill you. Without any hesitation, Ling Xiao left after saying that. Young master, this is all part of His Highness' scheme. You shouldn't have left. The Great Desolation's heart is extremely important to you. It's the foundation for you to conquer the heavens in the future. How can you give up the Great Desolation's heart for a few outsiders? Uncle Su said worriedly and anxiously. Uncle Su, they are not outsiders. They are my brothers, my family. If I can sacrifice them for the Great Desolation's heart, then what's the difference between me and the Immortal's Highness? Ling Xiao said seriously. His speed was extremely fast. Sigh. What a pity. If that's the case, I'm afraid that the Chaos Heart will fall into the hands of the Immortal Clan's Highness. Since he's so confident, I'm afraid that he also possesses the bloodline of the 5 great sacred tribes. Uncle Su smiled bitterly. Uncle Su, even if I don't have the primeval Chaos Heart, I'm confident that I'll be able to rule the heavens. I won't sacrifice anyone. Uncle Su, I won't sacrifice you either. Ling Xiao said solemnly. His eyes were filled with determination. Whoosh! He was like a bolt of golden lightning. In an instant, he passed through the endless towering ancient trees and entered the blazing sea of chaotic fire. Then he headed for the exit of the eternal immortal palace without any hesitation. After hearing Ling Xiao's words, Uncle Su fell silent for a long time. Young master, perhaps we still have a chance. We're now fighting against His Highness for time. The Great Desolation's heart is the core of the power of the Great Desolation's secret realm. It won't be easy to completely refine it. I'll hold him back. No matter what, we have to stop him from refining the Great Desolation's heart. Young master, you quickly deal with the 3 celestial masters, and then come kill His Highness. As long as you can kill him before he completely refines the Great Desolation's heart, the Great Desolation's heart will still be yours. Uncle Su gritted his teeth. His eyes were filled with incomparable madness. Uncle Su, you're the weapon spirit of the Great Void Temple. How can you hold His Highness back? No, it's too dangerous. Even if I give up the Great Desolation's heart, I won't put you in danger. Ling Xiao shook his head and said. Young master, there's no time. Trust me, I'll definitely hold His Highness back. Uncle Su said quickly. Then in an instant, he turned into a black ray of light and rushed out of Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. He shot toward the Great Desolation's heart in the distance. Uncle Su. Ling Xiao's body trembled. His eyes were filled with deep emotions. However, he knew that Uncle Su was right. Now he had to fight against His Highness for time. He had no right to hesitate. Although Ling Xiao's heart was filled with incomparable struggle and worry, he did not hesitate and rushed out of the Eternal Immortal Palace. Outside the Eternal Immortal Palace, Two celestial masters were besieging Zhao Ritian. Their eyes were filled with greed as they stared at the Yan Emperor cauldron and the heavenly Tao Emperor sword in Zhao Ritian's hands. Zhao Ritian had also gone completely crazy. Terrifying radiance gushed out from his body. The Yan Emperor cauldron and the heavenly Tao Emperor sword simultaneously unleashed an unparalleled emperor's aura, causing serious injuries to the two heavenly masters. However, wielding two emperor weapons at the same time was extremely stressful for Zhao Ritian. At this moment, his face was pale and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. The strength of the two celestial masters was beyond Zhao Ritian's imagination. Zhao Ritian could feel that the bodies of the two celestial masters were demonic plants, similar to the 10,000 demonic ancient tree. The strength of a demonic plant far exceeded that of a demonic overlord of the same rank. It was extremely terrifying, and was even stronger than the great elder of the Purple Moon Divine Clan, Zifenglai. The joint attack of the two celestial masters was extremely stressful for Zhao Ritian. On the other side, the old goat, Daoist Wuliang, Long Outyin, and Long Xiaoxiao were facing off against a celestial master expert. All of them suffered serious injuries and seemed to be at the end of their rope. Zhao Ritian was extremely anxious. He wanted to help, but there was nothing he could do. Ling Xiao, if you don't come out now, we're all doomed. Zhao Ritian roared angrily. His eyes were filled with anxiety. Ling Xiao? Hee, don't talk about him not coming out. If he dares to come out, do you think he can save all of you? All of you will die today. An old celestial master sneered coldly. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Rumble. The celestial master who was fighting against the old goat, and the others burst out with blazing light. In an instant, a huge palm print descended from the sky and slapped the old goat down from the sky. Chapter 2709. Old Goat. Daoist Wuliang shouted. There was a hint of madness in his eyes. Sword chi rose around him. In an instant, hundreds of millions of sword rays whizzed out like a vast sea and shot toward the heavenly venerate in the sky. Child's play. The celestial master's eyes were filled with disdain. He pressed down with his palm, which seemed to contain a world of its own. In an instant, it devoured the billions of strands of sword chi that Daoist Wuliang had unleashed. In the next moment, the palm descended and slammed Daoist Wuliang deep into the ground. The difference in cultivation was just too great. Long Outyin and Long Xiaoxiao were only in the Saint Realm, while the old goat and Taoist Wuliang had just entered the Great Saint Realm not long ago. They were almost at their limits to be able to withstand the suppression of a celestial master for so long. With the old goat and Daoist Wuliang suppressed, Long Outyin and Long Xiaoxiao were immediately exposed to the celestial master. Die. The heavenly venerate's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. A huge palm print descended once again like a mountain, wanting to crush Long Outyin and Long Xiaoxiao into dust. Don't worry, Xiaoxiao. I'll protect you. Long Outyin shielded Long Xiaoxiao behind him. Blood chi surged around him as a dragon's roar erupted. His eyes were filled with madness. He immediately wanted to ignite his bloodline and origin spirit to block the killing blow. Boom. At this moment, it was as if a resplendent sun had risen into the sky. In an instant, millions of rays of light bloomed and turned into an unparalleled fist that shot towards the celestial venerate. The fist print was terrifying to the extreme. It was as if the celestial emperor was suppressing the world and sweeping through the heavens. It contained an invincible fist will. In an instant, it turned the celestial lord's palm into dust. Then, without losing any momentum, it blasted toward his head. Who's there? The celestial master's expression changed. His eyes were filled with shock and anger. He could only see a resplendent figure shrouded in light shooting towards him, but he couldn't see the face clearly. He felt a great threat from that fist. He didn't even think about it. His palm shot out and an extremely cold chi erupted. It instantly froze everything within 10,000 miles in an attempt to completely freeze that figure. Crack. The cold chi condensed into ice, but it shattered in an instant, revealing Ling Zhao's figure. A ray of light that contained boundless fluctuations of time pierced through the void and pierced towards the celestial master's forehead. Ling Xiao. The celestial master's expression changed. He didn't expect Ling Xiao to come. It's cousin. Haha, cousin is here. These three old things are dead. Long Outyin shuddered, and his eyes were filled with excitement. It's Ling Xiao. He's finally here. Taoist Wuliang heaved a sigh of relief. If he came a little later, he wouldn't have been able to see us. The old goat muttered softly, but there was a relaxed smile in his eyes. Rumble. The celestial master's palm was instantly pierced by Ling Xiao's finger. The age annihilation finger erupted with a power that could destroy everything. The light was extremely bright, intending to kill the celestial master with a single finger. The celestial master's eyes were filled with shock and anger. He felt an extremely strong threat from Ling Xiao. It was a feeling of death. Suppress! Ling Xiao shouted coldly. In an instant, the heavenly might descended from the sky like an immemorial mountain. It contained a vast and mighty emperor's might and pressed down on the celestial venerate. The celestial master originally wanted to escape and avoid Ling Xiao's age annihilation finger. He didn't expect the heavens might to erupt with such terrifying power. His body froze for a moment. Puff! It was at this moment that Ling Xiao's age annihilation finger pierced the celestial master's forehead. The vast power of time gushed out and rushed towards the celestial master's primordial spirit. At the same time, a wisp of devouring fire danced on Ling Xiao's fingertip. It contained the power of fire origin and rushed into the celestial master's forehead. Ah! Save me! The celestial master's eyes were filled with fear as he screamed crazily. The finger of time destruction had only heavily injured his soul, but the sky-devouring fire contained the origin of fire. When it touched his skin, it actually began to burn fiercely. Very soon he was engulfed in flames. Rumble! The celestial master trembled violently. Blazing light gushed out of his body as endless flames burned. Amidst the flames he revealed his true form, which was a huge locust tree. A painful face appeared on the locust tree, and it even began to distort. He was actually a locust tree. What? Celestial Master Huai. The two celestial masters who were besieging Zhao Rantian were trembling all over. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. When Ling Xiao attacked Celestial Master Huai, they also noticed Ling Xiao. They originally thought that Celestial Master Huai would be able to hold on for a while, but they never thought that Ling Xiao's attack would be so fierce and terrifying. He actually killed Celestial Master Huai in an instant. Celestial Master Huai's strength was unparalleled. He was second only to the two of them, but he was killed by Ling Xiao just like that. Didn't that mean that Ling Xiao also had the strength to kill the two of them? The two celestial masters' eyes were filled with shock and anger. In an instant, they gave up on attacking Zhao Rantian and pulled away from him. Their eyes were filled with extreme vigilance. Ling Xiao is actually so strong. Zhao Rantian was also extremely shocked and a little dejected. He originally thought that he had caught up to Ling Xiao, but he didn't expect to be left behind by Ling Xiao again. He was suppressed by the two celestial masters to the point where he couldn't resist, but Ling Xiao killed Celestial Master Huai in an instant. Zhao Rantian, hold the line for me. Don't let them escape. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He didn't even look at Celestial Master Huai, who was suffering from the burning pain. Instead, he looked at the remaining two celestial masters. Rumble! Ling Xiao did not hesitate in the slightest. His heavenly might soared into the sky like a divine mountain. At the same time, an aura that could destroy the heavens and earth erupted from Ling Xiao's body. It was as though a dark hell had risen up. An invincible great emperor figure appeared, carrying with it a power that could destroy the heavens and earth as it charged towards the two heavenly venerables. Celestial Emperor Prison Suppression Technique. Ling Xiao had no intention of wasting time with them. He only wanted to kill these three celestial masters as soon as possible, then return to the Eternal Immortal Palace to kill the Immortal Clan's highness. He couldn't let Uncle Su fall into danger. Ling Xiao, do you really think that you can kill us all by yourself? The two celestial masters were shocked and angry. Their eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. In an instant, terrifying auras erupted from them as they charged towards Ling Xiao. Rumble! The two celestial masters seemed to know that Ling Xiao was incomparably terrifying. They also began to fight with their lives on the line. Black light surged around them, revealing a huge black flower and countless thorns that looked like tentacles. These two celestial masters were actually Rose Flower and Thorny Thorn respectively. They could be called Celestial Master Rose and Celestial Master Thorny Thorn respectively. The two of them revealed their true forms, and their strength instantly increased by several times. P.S. This is the end of the 3rd update. I wish everyone a happy new year, and everything goes well. Brothers, you can join Muyu's reader group. Muyu will give everyone a big red packet tonight and tomorrow. Chapter 27:10. Kacha. Blazing lightning flashed across the sky as divine light gushed out. The gigantic black rose seemed to be able to devour the heavens and earth, forming a gigantic black vortex in the sky. The thorns that looked like tentacles were covered with sharp barbs that danced like dragons and snakes. They were surrounded by blazing lightning as they pierced through the void towards Ling Xiao. Both Heavenly Sovereign Rose and Heavenly Sovereign Thorns were demonic plants that had attained the Tao. Their strength was unparalleled, and they were much stronger than ordinary demonic beasts. Their bodies also contained boundless origin energy. The gigantic black rose and thorns were tens of thousands of feet tall. Their auras were extremely terrifying, and they surrounded Ling Xiao almost instantly. They could feel the immense threat coming from Ling Xiao, so they did not hesitate to reveal their true forms, wanting to kill Ling Xiao once and for all. Rumble. Vast heavenly might pressed down like an immemorial sacred mountain that contained the power to suppress everything. In an instant, the boundless darkness was cleansed and a majestic and holy light bloomed. The great emperor's shadow was like a supreme ruler that could sweep across the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Every strike contained unstoppable power. This was the heavenly emperor's prison suppression art, a peerless emperor technique created by the heavenly prison great emperor. Every strike contained the heavenly prison great emperor's extreme power that could destroy everything. The boundless black light dissipated, and the gigantic thorns were smashed into pieces by the great emperor's shadow. Purple chi rose around Ling Xiao's body, and thousands of rays of divine light shot out. Almost all the attacks that came towards him were annihilated within 10 feet of him. They melted like snow and completely disappeared. Ling Xiao did not seem to care about the attacks of the 2 heavenly sovereigns. Instead, he displayed his peerless killing power in an attempt to kill the 2 heavenly sovereigns. Looks like Ling Xiao has really carved out his own path. Zhao Ritian said enviously. He stood aside to support Ling Xiao. The Yen Emperor's cauldron and Heavenly Emperor sword shone brightly, and spewed out blazing Emperor's aura, as if they were ready to unleash their strongest attack at any time. Although Zhao Ritian was no match for Heavenly Sovereign Rose and Heavenly Sovereign Thorns, he had no problem stopping the 2 Heavenly Sovereigns from escaping with his 2 Emperor weapons. Zhao Ritian did not make a move, but Heavenly Sovereign Rose and Heavenly Sovereign Thorns felt an even greater pressure. Big brother, what should we do? Ling Xiao's physical body is almost indestructible. Our attacks can't do any fatal damage to him. Celestial Venerable Thorn quickly transmitted her voice to Celestial Venerable Rose. Her expression was extremely ugly, and her eyes were filled with shock. His sharp thorny tentacles were comparable to a full-powered attack from a Celestial Venerable. The dense thorns were extremely tough, but they were unable to penetrate Ling Xiao's body. Instead, they were all shattered by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao did not need to be on guard at all. He could attack with all his might. However, Celestial Venerable Rose and Celestial Venerable Thorns had to be on guard against Ling Xiao's ferocious attacks. This guy is simply a mad dog. A mere Saint King Realm cultivator was actually able to kill a Heavenly Venerable. Could this be the destiny of the Chosen One? Heavenly Venerable Rose's expression was also extremely ugly. Her eyes were filled with shock and anger. Big brother, we can't hold back anymore. Let's use His Majesty's forbidden technique. As long as we can kill Ling Xiao, those trash won't be able to stop us. Heavenly Sovereign Thorns sneered. That's the only thing we can do now. If we can kill Ling Xiao and bring his body back to His Majesty, we can make up for our mistakes. Celestial Venerable Rose took a deep breath and nodded. Rumble. Ling Xiao's attacks were extremely powerful. His Heavenly Emperor Prison Suppression Technique, Heavenly Might Prison Technique, Age Annihilation Finger, Heavenly Emperor's Fist, and many other powerful emperor techniques were unleashed by Ling Xiao. They posed a great threat to Heavenly Sovereign Rose and Heavenly Sovereign Thorns. Ling Xiao's fighting style made the two Heavenly Sovereigns feel great pressure. They even felt their scalps go numb. In the end, they could only passively defend against Ling Xiao's attacks. They couldn't even counterattack. The two Heavenly Sovereigns were completely at a disadvantage. It seems like the two Heavenly Sovereigns are doomed. Long Outyan's eyes flashed as he said slowly, Ling Xiao's cultivation has skyrocketed. I'm afraid they miscalculated. They didn't expect Ling Xiao to be so strong. The old goat nodded. But why does Ling Xiao look so anxious? Did something happen in the Eternal Immortal Palace? Daoist Wuliang glanced at Ling Xiao and frowned. He could vaguely sense that Ling Xiao's killing intent and battle intent had reached an extreme level. It was as if he was extremely anxious to finish off these two Empyrean powerhouses as quickly as possible. His attacks were swift and decisive, without the slightest bit of nonsense. Daoist Wuliang wondered if Ling Xiao had encountered any mishaps in the Eternal Immortal Palace. Crack! Just then something strange happened. A thick bolt of lightning shot across the sky in an instant. It contained an extremely terrifying origin power of lightning and blasted Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao's body trembled violently as if he had been struck by lightning. Lightning flashed all over his body, and his entire body stiffened for a moment. Even though Ling Xiao's physical body was strong, he couldn't withstand such terrifying lightning origin energy. Skymaster Thorny Thorn transformed into her true form. She was a giant thorny vine with countless tentacles covered in sharp barbs. She unleashed a destructive divine power that sent Skymaster Meng flying. Roar! Heavenly Sovereign Thorn let out an earth-shattering roar. Terrifying sound waves intertwined and surged toward Ling Xiao's consciousness. As for Celestial Venerable Rose, she instantly transformed into a huge black rose. Dazzling lightning bolts surrounded her, containing waves of devouring and destruction. Taking advantage of Ling Xiao's stiff body, the lightning bolts swept across the sky and enveloped Ling Xiao. Within the rose, there seemed to be many divine chains of order that pierced through the void, binding Ling Xiao tightly. At the same time, they were like tentacles that wanted to reach into Ling Xiao's pores, wanting to devour the life essence and powerful vital energy and blood in his body. This happened in a flash. No one expected Heavenly Sovereign Thorn and Heavenly Sovereign Rose to be able to unleash such a powerful killing move. Is that the lightning origin energy? They are just two Heavenly Sovereigns. How can they unleash such powerful lightning origin energy? Zhao Ritian shuddered as a look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. Chapter 27:11. It's impossible for them, but I'm afraid there's a powerful Emperor Realm expert behind them. TSK, I've never seen such pure lightning origin in my life. Second uncle's voice rang in Zhao Ritian's mind as he chuckled. Emperor Realm expert? Is that the Demon King that the three Heavenly Masters were talking about? Ling Xiao is really a troublemaker. Wherever he goes, he'll attract a bunch of enemies. Zhao Ritian said with a bitter smile. Who asked him to be the Chosen One? The Chosen One possesses the Heavenly Fate Chi and the hope of an era. Anyone who sees him will covet the Heavenly Fate Chi of his sacred mountain. Not to mention a mere Imperial Monarch expert, even a Supreme Emperor would probably be envious of Ling Xiao's karmic luck. Second eldest uncle chuckled, as if he was gloating over his misfortune. I hope this guy doesn't fail miserably. Zhao Ritian shook his head as a sharp light flashed in his eyes. He was ready to take out the Yen Emperor Cauldron and Heavenly Emperor Sword to attack Heavenly Master Rose and Heavenly Master Thorns to save Ling Xiao. However, Zhao Ritian was very confident in Ling Xiao. Hence, he did not make a move immediately. He wanted to see if Ling Xiao could resolve the situation. Rumble. In the void, huge thorns wrapped around Ling Xiao's body like dragons and snakes. The vast origin of lightning was like a sea of lightning that drowned everything. The huge black rose completely wrapped Ling Xiao in its petals, wanting to devour Ling Xiao completely. This scene was incomparably terrifying. Even a heavenly venerate powerhouse would not be able to do anything in the face of such a situation. They would definitely die. Boom. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao's body suddenly spewed out a blazing purple gas. In the vast light, a mysterious flame lotus flew out from his body. The flame was bright and dazzling, containing a mysterious fluctuation. As for the divine sequence chains around Ling Xiao, they were all annihilated when they came into contact with the lotus. After the surrounding lightning origin collided with the flame lotus, a wave of power erupted in an instant. Then it suddenly gushed out in all directions. Ah! How can you still have the fire origin energy? Celestial Venerable Rose screamed. Her voice was filled with disbelief and fear. That flaming lotus was the heaven-devouring fire. It had fused with the chaotic flame origin beneath the chaos mystic realm, and was capable of burning the heavens and destroying the earth. Previously, Celestial Venerable Huai had been burned to ashes by the heaven-devouring fire. Celestial Venerable Rose was already very careful. She unleashed the thunder origin left behind by the Demon King, and wanted to take the opportunity to devour Ling Xiao. However, he didn't expect Ling Xiao to be able to fight back. Ling Xiao even had the power of the fire origin in his body. At this moment, the fire origin exploded. The sky-devouring fire instantly burned fiercely, completely enveloping Celestial Venerable Rose. Rumble. Within the endless flames, Celestial Venerable Rose's body trembled violently. Even within the flames, a twisted and frightened face could be seen. Celestial Venerable Thorns, who was originally entangling and imprisoning Ling Xiao, felt the power of the fire origin and was instantly sent flying. Her face was full of fear. After fusing with the fire origin energy, the heaven-devouring fire was the greatest nemesis for Celestial Venerables. Anyone who touched it would definitely die. You want to devour my life origin? I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Xiao sneered. In an instant, he activated the heaven-devouring secret skill. The purple gas around him rose and gathered into a vast purple vortex that contained a terrifying power that could devour everything. Rumble. Celestial Venerable Rose's vast life origin, powerful qi and blood essence, and majestic primordial spirit power instantly rushed into Ling Xiao's body, and were devoured by Ling Xiao. If Celestial Venerable Rose had been at her peak, it would have been difficult for Ling Xiao to devour her energy, even if he used the heaven-devouring secret skill. However, at this moment, Celestial Venerable Rose was completely enveloped by the heaven-devouring fire. Her entire body had turned into a blazing flame, and she could barely protect herself. Ling Xiao took the opportunity to devour the pure energy in Celestial Venerable Rose's body. His aura began to soar rapidly. Originally, Ling Xiao's cultivation realm had been greatly improved in the underground of the untainted mystery land. His primordial spirit power had increased by more than 30%, and his cultivation had soared to the peak of an ordinary holy king. Now, as Ling Xiao devoured Celestial Venerable Rose's energy, his cultivation realm was also slowly increasing. Ling Xiao's accumulation was so strong that it was hundreds or thousands of times more difficult for him to break through a small realm compared to others. It required an incomparably vast amount of energy. How much energy did a Celestial Venerable have? It was enough for an ordinary person to break through to the Holy King realm directly. It could be said that Celestial Venerable Rose had been caught in a trap of her own making. Her majestic energy had become a wedding dress for Ling Xiao. More than half of it had been devoured by Ling Xiao. Soon, it turned into ashes in the endless flames. The second Celestial Venerable was dead. Celestial Venerable Thorn's eyes were filled with fear. He did not even have the slightest intention of continuing the battle with Ling Xiao. There was only one thought in his mind. Run, run, run. The further the better. In Celestial Venerable Thorn's eyes, Ling Xiao was like an archaean ferocious beast. He was so terrifying that he trembled all over, and could not muster the slightest thought of resisting. Trying to escape? You'd better stay. Zhao Ritian's eyes flashed coldly as he sneered. He had been guarding against the two Celestial Venerables from the side. When he saw that Celestial Venerable Thorn wanted to escape, he did not hesitate to summon his two extreme Dao Emperor weapons. Rumble! The Yen Emperor Cauldron spewed out endless flames. It soared into the sky like a mountain and pressed down on Celestial Venerable Thorn. Everywhere it went, It turned into a fiery domain that could incinerate all life. The heavenly Tao Emperor sword was extremely sharp. It turned into a dazzling ray of light that pierced through the endless void, and pierced towards Celestial Venerable Thorn's forehead. "Get out of my way!" Celestial Venerable Thorn roared in shock and anger. He tried his best to unleash his most terrifying power, to blast away the Yin Emperor Cauldron, and the heavenly Tao Emperor sword. Celestial Venerable Thorn went completely crazy. Terrifying saint power gushed out, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. It swept across the void like a storm. The thick tentacles slammed onto the Yin Emperor Cauldron, and the heavenly Tao Emperor sword. There was the sound of metal clashing and sparks flying everywhere. The Yin Emperor Cauldron and the heavenly Tao Emperor sword trembled violently and unleashed terrifying divine light fluctuations. However, a crack appeared. Celestial Venerable Thorn was like a bolt of black lightning. He passed through the crack in an instant, trying to tear the void apart and escape. His survival instincts were unleashed to the extreme by Celestial Venerable Thorn. Third Sect Leader. Chapter 27:12. Boom! At this moment, an ancient and mysterious sky steel that exuded an ancient aura appeared in front of Heavenly Venerate Thorny. At the same time, a huge palm print came crashing down on Thorny Sovereign. Ling Xiao had arrived. "Ah, Ling Xiao, don't go too far!" Thorny Sovereign roared, her eyes filled with madness. She rushed into the sky recklessly and collided with the huge palm print. In an instant, unparalleled waves of divine light erupted. "Die," Ling Xiao said coldly. Blazing divine light rose from his body, and an immortal and mysterious wave of energy spread out. He unleashed his unparalleled physical strength and punched down. This punch seemed to have pierced through civilization, shattered epochs, and shattered the heavens. It contained a mysterious scene of the world's reincarnation and the destruction of the heavens. It was as if it wanted to bury everything in chaos and restart the cycle of epochs. Epochal Fist. This was Ling Xiao's pure physical strength, and also Ling Xiao's own Tao. This was an extremely terrifying origin energy. It had killed celestial masters, slain the Demon King's clone, and destroyed the immortal prince's imprint. It was unparalleled in the universe. Boom! Heavenly Venerate Thorn hastily tried to block the attack. Her body trembled violently and her arm exploded into a bloody mist. She was sent flying. Boom! 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 Ling Xiao was like a purple-gold lightning bolt. He threw hundreds of punches in an instant, each containing unparalleled fist intent. They all landed on Thorny Sovereign, causing her to tremble violently. She coughed up blood and her eyes were filled with disbelief and fear. Thorny Sovereign found it hard to believe that such terrifying fist intent could be unleashed by a saint ruler expert. She suddenly felt a trace of energy from Ling Xiao that was similar to the Demon King's. It was the origin of the Great Tao, the power of the Extreme Tao. It was the energy of the Supreme Divinity Realm. "I am invincible." Thorny Sovereign suddenly became extremely terrified. Her body trembled violently and her eyes were filled with despair and deep regret. Ling Xiao's final punch landed on Thorny Skymaster's body, causing her to explode. Both her primordial spirit and physical body turned into a bloody mist. "Devour!" Ling Xiao roared and unleashed the sky-devouring secret technique. His body exuded a terrifying aura that could devour the heavens and earth. The vast and powerful energy around Thorny Sovereign also surged into Ling Xiao's body. Both Empyrean Lord of Thorns and Empyrean Lord of Rosette were monster plants. Their energies were several times or even dozens of times stronger than an ordinary Empyrean. After Ling Xiao devoured the two celestial masters' flesh essence and primordial spirit energy, his cultivation level began to skyrocket. Rumble! Lightning flashed around Ling Xiao's body. His divine light was vast and purple chi filled the air. He had just become a Saint King not long ago, but as he refined his body with the chaotic flames and strengthened his Yuan spirit with his illusory realm, coupled with the fact that he had devoured the cultivations of the two celestial venerables, his cultivation had skyrocketed to the peak of the Saint King realm. It's not enough. A sharp light appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes. In an instant, a billion origin source pills flew out from the heaven's might, and exploded around him like a resplendent river. They turned into a violent origin source sea that surged wildly into Ling Xiao's body. Kacha. The power source in Ling Xiao's body surged like a great river. With the support of the two celestial venerables' violent energy, Ling Xiao's cultivation was like a hot knife through butter. He broke through that rock-solid bottleneck and directly stepped into the realm of Peak Saint Ruler. It only took Ling Xiao 3 days to reach the Peak Holy King realm from Dao-proving Holy King realm. Although this breakthrough was a little hasty and his cultivation level was unstable, Ling Xiao didn't care. He needed strength. He needed unparalleled strength to deal with the upcoming battle. Facing the Celestial Highness, Ling Xiao had to bring out his strongest strength to fight. Wait for me outside the Eternal Celestial Palace. I'm going to kill the Celestial Masters. Ling Xiao said to Zhao Ritian, Old Goat, Taoist Wuliang, Long Outyin and Long Xiaoxiao. Instantly, a blazing light burst out from his body. Without any hesitation, he turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed into the Eternal Celestial Palace. From the moment Ling Xiao swallowed Empyrean Thorn, to the moment he swallowed 1 billion origin pills, broke through to the pinnacle of the Holy King realm, and flew into the Eternal Immortal Palace, everything happened in a single breath. Zhao Ritian and the others didn't even have time to react. What just happened? Ling Xiao. Did he break through again? Zhao Ritian's eyes widened. They were filled with grief and indignation. The gap between him and Ling Xiao was huge. He hadn't even broken through to the Saint King realm, but Ling Xiao had broken through to the Peak Holy King realm again. The gap between them was getting bigger and bigger. Zhao Ritian felt that there was no light in front of him. He felt a little hopeless. When would he be able to complete the magnificent feat of beating Ling Xiao up? Ling Xiao said that he's going to kill the Immortal Clan's highness? Old Goat's eyes widened. His face was filled with shock. Even when Ling Xiao killed 2 celestial masters and broke through to the Peak Holy King realm, he didn't feel as shocked as Ling Xiao's words. That's right. He said that he's going to kill the Immortal Clan's highness. This is going to be big. The Immortal Clan's highness isn't that easy to kill. Taoist Wuyang's eyes revealed a trace of worry. Even when Ling Xiao was facing the 3 celestial venerables, he was certain that Ling Xiao would win. He was full of confidence in Ling Xiao. However, when facing the celestial race's highness, Taoist Wuyang had no confidence and was filled with worry. The Immortal Clan's highness must be scheming something in the Eternal Celestial Palace. Otherwise, Ling Xiao wouldn't be so anxious. What should we do? We have to do something. We can't let Ling Xiao fight alone, right? The Old Goat said anxiously. You're right. We can't let Ling Xiao fight alone. As brothers, we have to help him win this battle. The Immortal Clan's highness is just a clone. He can lose, but Ling Xiao can't. I have a way to weaken the Immortal Clan's highness, but I'm afraid we'll have to pay a huge price. We might even have to use up a lot of our life force. Are you willing to do that? Taoist Wuyang said slowly with a hint of madness in his eyes. Old Taoist Wuliang, don't talk so much nonsense. What's a mere loss of life? Tell me what to do. I'll listen to you. The Old Goat nodded heavily and said, Me too. Long Outyin said hurriedly. I want to help brother Ling Xiao too. Long Xiaoxiao said seriously. Count me in. Ling Xiao, that troublemaker, is annoying. However, I hate that pretentious Immortal Clan's highness more. Fuck, he's even more arrogant than I, Zhao Ritian. We have to destroy his arrogance. Zhao Ritian walked over as well and sneered. All right. Since that's the case, you guys listen to me. Now go and move the 108 mountains here. Follow my instructions and set up the array. Taoist Wuyang said slowly, revealing his crazy plan. Everyone did not hesitate at all. After listening to Taoist Wuyang's words, they instantly turned into streams of light and moved into the distance according to their respective division of labor. P.S. End of 3rd update. Brothers, rest early. The first day of the Lunar New Year can be considered a new beginning. I wish everyone success in everything they wish for in the new year. Chapter 27:13. The Eternal Immortal Palace was located in the center of the Chaos Secret Territory. It was mysterious and ancient. The Immortal's Highness had built the Eternal Immortal Palace here because of the Chaos Heart. The Eternal Immortal Palace led directly to the depths of the Chaos Secret Territory. It was the closest place to the Chaos Heart. Although they had to pass through the Primal Chaos Flame Sea and the Natural Illusion Formation, this was the closest place. The Immortal Race's Highness had already discovered the Great Wilderness's heart long ago. If it weren't for the fact that they couldn't open the seal on the Great Wilderness's heart, they would have refined it long ago. Now that the seal on the Chaos Heart had been broken by Ling Xiao, no one could stop the Immortal's Highness from obtaining the Chaos Heart. Rumble. The Great Desolation's heart looked dazzling, like a blazing sun, emitting an eternal and immortal light. Primal chaos rose in the surroundings, spreading out like an ocean. The Immortal's Highness was sitting cross-legged in front of the Chaos Heart. His body was surrounded by a five-colored divine glow. Boundless light surged as he refined the Chaos Heart. A black shadow silently blended into the Great Desolation's heart. It did not attract the attention of the Immortal's Highness. A five-colored divine ring emerged from the Immortal's Highness' body. It was enshrouded in a strange light. It was the power of the Great Tao of the Five Elements. It slowly surrounded the Chaos Heart, trying to refine it. The power of the Great Tao of the Five Elements seemed to be extremely attractive to the Chaos Heart. Even though the Immortal's Highness didn't have the ancestral bloodline of the five sacred tribes, he could still refine the Chaos Heart quickly with the power of the Great Tao of the Five Elements. In the time it took for an incense stick to burn, he had refined half of the Chaos Heart. However, the Immortal's Highness sensed that his refining speed was slowing down. It was as if there was an extremely strange power that was preventing him from refining the Chaos Heart. Buzz. The Immortal's Highness' eyes were instantly covered with a layer of brilliant immortal light. It contained the power to see through everything. He shot into the Chaos Heart and saw a black shadow inside. Who is it? Show yourself. The Immortal's Highness said coldly. He had finally found the main culprit that was preventing him from refining the Great Desolate's heart. He was incomparably shocked in his heart. He did not know when, but a black shadow had entrenched itself within the Great Desolate's heart. However, after the Immortal Highness finished speaking, the black shadow did not respond. You don't want to come out? Then don't blame me for being impolite. A cold light flashed in the eyes of the Immortal's Highness. He immediately pointed in the air and a blazing five-colored light shot out. In an instant, it turned into a five-colored net and imprinted itself into the Great Desolation's heart. It swept towards the black shadow. Rumble. As if it felt threatened, a terrifying aura gushed out from the untainted heart in an instant. The black shadow flew out and turned into an old man in a black robe. He had white hair and a beard, and he looked amiable. Who are you? Why are you stopping me from refining the Great Desolate's heart? The Immortal Highness stared at the old man and asked. Immortal's Highness, this Great Desolate's heart is not meant for you. It originally belonged to the Chosen One. Why don't you give it to him? The black-robed old man smiled slightly. He was naturally Uncle Su. In order to buy time for Ling Xiao, he entered the Great Desolate's heart alone. He wanted to delay the Immortal's Highness from refining the Great Desolate's heart. He did not expect to be discovered by the Immortal's Highness. You're Ling Xiao's man? What a joke! The treasures of heaven and earth belong to the capable. This Great Desolate's heart belongs to me. Who dares to snatch it from me? I think you're just trying to buy time for Ling Xiao. You're courting death. The Immortal's Highness's eyes flashed coldly. In an instant, he slammed his palm towards Uncle Su. He could sense that Uncle Su did not have a physical body. He was a spiritual body. Therefore, his attack contained a powerful primordial spirit attack. Seven-colored immortal fire rose from his palm. In an instant, it swept across the void and turned into a blazing sea of fire. Although Uncle Su seemed unfathomable, the Immortal's Highness still attacked. He wanted to get rid of Uncle Su and refine the Great Desolate's heart. Whoosh! The black light around Uncle Su disappeared into the void in an instant. The seven-colored immortal fire missed its target. However, the void around him was distorted as if it was going to shatter at any time. In the next moment, Uncle Su appeared in another place. He was extremely fast. He could teleport without any spatial fluctuations. Therefore, the Immortal's Highness could not catch a trace of Uncle Su. Immortal's Highness, I don't want to be your enemy. Why are you being so aggressive? Uncle Su sighed softly. Don't try to buy time. If you want to stop me from refining the great desolate's heart, then die. The Immortal's Highness said coldly. Rumble. Resplendent immortal light bloomed around him. Divine chains of order traversed the void. Endless runes rose from the Immortal's Highness's body. It seemed as if an ancient formation was being carved. With a wave of his hand, an ancient formation flew out and enveloped Uncle Su. Uncle Su's speed was so fast that the Immortal's Highness could not catch him. He decided to set up a mysterious immortal formation. The ancient divine light was dazzling. It shrouded the void in all directions and formed a mysterious territory. Uncle Su's speed slowed down immediately. The divine light that filled the sky surged toward Uncle Su. It contained destructive energy fluctuations. Like a tornado, it was going to tear him into pieces. Great void. Uncle Su's eyes flashed sharply. Instantly his body became incomparably illusory. The void around him began to distort and devour all the divine light. Uncle Su waved his sleeve. Suddenly, a majestic dragon roar was heard. In the endless chaos, it seemed as if an ancient dragon was soaring through the void and pouncing toward the Immortal's Highness. Child's play. The Immortal's Highness sneered. He pointed a finger in the air. The finger light pierced through everything and blew the chaos dragon into pieces. Boom. The divine light that filled the sky surged. The Immortal's Highness rose and slammed his palm toward Uncle Su. That palm contained the power of a tsunami. It seemed as if it could destroy everything. It enveloped Uncle Su completely. But at this moment, after the chaos dragon exploded, it did not disappear completely. Instead, it formed a dazzling rain of light. It was as if stars were falling from the sky. Streaks of starlight bloomed in the void. In an instant, it changed into various mysterious scenes. Roar. Chirp. Tigers and dragons roared. Phoenixes and cranes cried. Black tortoises roared. Cheelans howled. Giant beasts spewed out flames. Ice giants froze thousands of miles. Humans wearing beast skins had strong vitality. They could kill powerful beasts. P.S. You drank too much yesterday and forgot to update. I'll make up for it today. Chapter 27:14. An ancient and mysterious world seemed to have appeared around the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. If Ling Xiao were here, he would have noticed that Uncle Su had created an ancient void realm. This was a mysterious scene that could only be created when one cultivated the path of heart to the extreme. The 9th level of the Heart Scripture of Great Void. Ling Xiao's Heart Scripture of Great Void was only at the 8th level. He did not know how long it would take for him to break through to the 9th level, but Uncle Su had already cultivated it to the 9th level. The 9th level of the Heart Scripture of Great Void allowed the Void Realm to create all things. Although the powerful divine beasts, primordial beasts, and ancient mutants seemed to be formed by the Heart Force, they were extremely real. It was as if the primordial creatures had been revived, and they contained an extremely terrifying aura. In an instant, tens of thousands of primordial beasts pounced toward the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. Each of the primordial beasts had the combat strength of a saint, and the strongest among them, the 5 sacred beasts, had the strength of a saint ruler. Like a raging beast tide, the vast void realm descended. Tens of thousands of primordial beasts instantly drowned the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness. Rumble. In an instant, a shocking battle broke out. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness's fists suppressed the void. Every punch seemed to be able to destroy the world. Endless lightning exploded, and his fist intent was incomparably vast. One primordial beast after another fell in his hands and turned into dust. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness's body emitted a resplendent immortal light. The 7-colored immortal fire was dazzling. It suddenly burst out and enveloped the surroundings like flames, turning all the primordial beasts into ashes. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness knew that Uncle Su wanted to buy time for Ling Xiao, so his attacks were extremely fierce. Even though Uncle Su's strength was unparalleled, he could not withstand the Immortal Clan's attacks at all. Boom. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness instantly appeared in front of Uncle Su. His gaze was sharp and cold, containing a kind of lofty majesty. He pointed at Uncle Sue, and a mysterious origin energy burst out from his finger. In an instant, it transformed into a 5-colored divine light, and flew toward Uncle Sue. Uncle Sue's expression instantly turned solemn. The origin power of the 5 elements contained the immortal clan's unique fierce and domineering offensive technique. It was terrifying to the extreme, as if it was specially designed to counter a spiritual body like him. Furthermore, the majesty of the immortal race seemed to be bent on killing Uncle Sue. His attacks were merciless. The moment he struck out, his attacks were earth-shattering. Not only did he destroy billions of primordial beasts in an instant, he even wanted to kill Uncle Sue completely. Sigil of Taishu. Subo sighed. He formed a seal with both hands, and billions of dazzling runes gathered in his palms, forming an ancient 9-colored divine rune. It was shrouded in chaotic mist and purple divine light, as if it had been born from the void. It slowly flew toward the palace of the immortals. Crack. The majesty of the immortal clan's Royal Highness finger was extremely fierce. The origin power of the 5 elements seemed to be able to destroy everything. However, when it collided with the sigil of Taishu, the surrounding void distorted. The origin power seemed to have shattered instantly, turning into a rain of light and dissipating. However, Uncle Sue was also sent flying. His body trembled violently, and his figure became much more illusory. His eyes revealed a trace of exhaustion. As expected of the immortal clan's Royal Highness, the 5 elements' immortal jade finger is indeed extraordinary. Uncle Sue said softly, "You recognize the 5 elements' immortal jade finger? Who are you?" The majesty of the immortal clan's Royal Highness stared at Uncle Sue and asked coldly. The 5 elements' immortal jade finger was a supreme immortal technique of the immortal clan. It was comparable to the top emperor technique, and was a secret of the immortal clan. Not only did Uncle Sue neutralize it, but he also recognized the 5 elements' immortal jade finger. This made the majesty of the immortal clan even more curious about Uncle Sue's identity. "I'm just a servant. It's normal that your majesty doesn't recognize me," Uncle Sue said with a faint smile. "Stop pretending to be mysterious. When I catch you and search your soul, I'll know who you are." The majesty of the immortal clan's Royal Highness's eyes turned cold. Boom. 7-colored immortal fire rose around him. In an instant, it split into 7 mysterious flames: red-orange, red-green, cyan-blue, and purple. Each flame was incomparably mysterious and holy. They were surrounded by immortal light, and contained the mysterious origin energy. In addition to the 5 elements' origin, there was also the origin of yin and yang. The 7 flames floated around the majesty of the immortal clan. Then they slowly merged into a 7-colored fiery lotus. Mysterious flames flowed around it, and the surrounding void instantly burned up. Endless flames surged as the 7-colored fiery lotus spun in the air, and pressed down on Uncle Sue. As soon as the 7-colored fiery lotus appeared, everything around it seemed to disappear in an instant. Only a gray mist of chaos was left. However, the 7-colored fiery lotus made people feel the most terrifying killing intent. 7-colored immortal lotus fire? You're able to control the supreme immortal fire of the immortal clan, second only to the 9-colored immortal lotus fire. It seems like you're the true crown prince of the immortal clan. Uncle Sue's eyes flashed with a strange light. Facing the 7-colored immortal lotus fire, Uncle Sue didn't seem to dodge at all. His expression was incomparably calm as he watched the 7-colored immortal lotus fire fly toward him. This was because he knew that the 7-colored immortal lotus fire couldn't be avoided. It was an immortal fire that directly locked onto one's fate. Not only did it contain the origin energy of fire, but it also contained the supreme law of the immortal clan. You really do know something. A cold light flashed in the eyes of the celestial race's highness. This feeling made him very uncomfortable. Uncle Sue seemed to know many secrets of the celestial race, but he did not know Uncle Sue's true identity. This made him feel like he was losing control. He didn't like this feeling, so he decided to completely destroy Uncle Sue. The 7-colored immortal lotus fire instantly swept across the void and enveloped Uncle Sue. Rumble. Amidst the 7-colored immortal lotus fire, Uncle Su's body shone brightly. His figure became more and more illusory, as if he would completely shatter at any moment. However, there was no sign of pain on Uncle Su's face. He quietly looked at the Immortal Highness, and a mysterious vortex seemed to be surging inside his body, slowly sucking in the wisps of 7-colored immortal lotus fire. Boom! In the next moment, a 9-colored immortal light seemed to rise from Uncle Su's body. In an instant, it turned into a dazzling bolt of lightning. With extreme speed, it flew directly toward Uncle Su. Not even His Highness of the immortal race had foreseen this. Or rather, he didn't think that Uncle Su would have a 9-colored immortal light in his body. For the first time, Uncle Su was shocked. This is the 9-colored immortal lotus fire. His Highness of the immortal race exclaimed, his eyes filled with disbelief. Chapter 27:15. Poof! The 9-colored immortal lotus fire instantly pierced through the immortal clan Royal Highness chest, leaving behind a huge bloody hole. The wound looked extremely neat, but it did not pierce through his heart. The 9-colored immortal lotus fire quickly dissipated. The power of the 9-colored immortal lotus fire was still too weak. The immortal clan Royal Highness suddenly spat out a mouthful of golden blood. His eyes were filled with bone-chilling coldness. 9-colored immortal lotus fire? How can you summon the 9-colored immortal lotus fire? You're from the immortal clan? Who are you? I told you, I'm just a servant. What a pity, I didn't expect you to have the seed of the 9-colored immortal lotus fire in your body. Uncle Su's eyes revealed a trace of pity. The 9-colored immortal lotus fire was his most powerful attack. Even if it could not kill the immortal clan Royal Highness, it could at least severely injure him. Unfortunately, the immortal clan Royal Highness had a very high status in the immortal clan. Because of the seed of the 9-colored immortal lotus fire in his body, his injuries were not serious and he recovered almost instantly. Uncle Su floated in the void. He was extremely weak and his figure was incomparably illusory, as if he would disappear in the wind at any time. You're already an arrow at the end of its flight. Since you won't tell me, I'll search your soul and place it on the 9-colored immortal lotus fire to roast it for 10,000 years. The immortal clan Royal Highness said coldly. In an instant he leaped across the sky and grabbed at Uncle Su. What a pity. I still can't injure him. I hope the young master has already dealt with the 3 celestial masters, and can rush back in time. The wilderness heart is too important. I can't let it fall into the hands of the immortal clan. Uncle Su sighed softly in his heart. His eyes were calm and deep. There was no fear of death, only a trace of regret and intense fatigue. He was just a spiritual body. He had already reached his limit to be able to hold off the immortal clan Royal Highness for so long. In the face of the immortal clan Royal Highness attack, he had no strength to resist. Immortal clan Royal Highness, do you want to die? At this moment, a furious roar exploded in the void like a thunderclap, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. In the distance, a blazing ray of divine light soared into the sky. It emitted a dazzling radiance, as if a resplendent sun was flying through the sky. Its speed was extremely fast. Ling Zhao's gaze was incomparably cold, containing monstrous killing intent and fury. After killing the 3 celestial venerates, he had rushed back to the eternal immortal palace, worried that Uncle Su might be in danger. However, he did not expect to see Su Bo severely injured by the celestial race's majesty the moment he charged through the Chaos Flame Sea and the Natural Illusion Array. He was so weak that he could not fight back at all. Ling Zhao's heart was instantly filled with rage. Rumble. Using a secret teleportation technique, he instantly appeared tens of thousands of feet away, blocking Uncle Su's path. With a cold glint in his eyes, he threw a punch at the immortal clan's Royal Highness. Roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar rang out. Ling Zhao's fist contained the vast might of the ancestral dragon. Condensed from the primordial immortal body's strongest physical body, it was terrifying to the extreme. In an instant, it collided with the immortal highness. The void rumbled and the immortal clan's Royal Highness was sent flying by Ling Xiao. Uncle Su, are you alright? Ling Xiao hurriedly helped Uncle Su up, his eyes filled with worry. Young master, I'm fine. Fortunately, you came in time. Otherwise, the primordial heart would have fallen into his hands. Be careful of his rainbow celestial lotus fire. Although Uncle Su looked very weak, he had a relaxed smile on his face as he spoke to Ling Xiao. All right. Uncle Su, go back to the Great Void Temple and recuperate. Ling Xiao could sense that Uncle Su was extremely weak. Without hesitation, he released a vast amount of primordial spirit power into Uncle Su's body and sent him back to the Great Void Temple to recuperate. Ling Xiao, you defeated the 3 celestial venerates so quickly? The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness was also shocked as he stared at Ling Xiao coldly. Those were 3 celestial venerates. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness originally thought that the 3 of them could delay Ling Xiao for a period of time, enough for him to refine the primordial heart. However, he did not expect that not only did Uncle Su delay a lot of time, but Ling Xiao also quickly defeated the 3 celestial venerates and returned here. Moreover, Ling Xiao's cultivation had also broken through to the peak Sage King realm. The Ling Xiao in front of him, the so-called Chosen One, had grown too quickly. Previously, Ling Xiao's cultivation was only in the Great Sage Perfection realm, but now he had broken through 2 realms consecutively, causing the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness to feel threatened. Immortal Clan's Royal Highness, it seems that I have disappointed you. The 3 celestial venerates have already been killed by me. I'm afraid it won't be that easy for you to refine the primordial heart safely. Ling Xiao said coldly. It doesn't matter. As long as I kill you, the primordial heart will still be mine. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness said indifferently. His gaze fell on Ling Xiao, and his expression became serious. Ling Xiao had used his strength to win his respect. He had already begun to treat Ling Xiao as a powerful opponent. That's right. Kill me, and the primordial heart will be yours. However, if I kill you, the primordial heart will belong to me. Ling Xiao said slowly, and an incomparably powerful battle intent emerged in his eyes. Ling Xiao, I have to say that your combat strength is indeed very strong. Although the 3 celestial venerates are useless, they actually couldn't delay you for long. However, don't think that you can defeat me just like that. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness smiled faintly. He was enveloped in immortal light, and auspicious vapors rose. His entire aura became indifferent and ethereal. He was extraordinary, perfect and flawless. No one dared to look at him directly. However, Ling Xiao felt an incomparable sense of danger from his body. We'll only know after the battle. Ling Xiao replied coldly. He stepped on the void and walked toward the Immortal Clan's Royal Highness step by step. Every step was very slow, but every step was very firm. It was as if he had stepped on the node of heaven and earth. It contained a vast power, and a majestic aura rose. The shadows of the 5 sacred beasts seemed to appear behind him. The ancestral dragon roared to the sky. The phoenix burned the sky. The white tiger fought the sky. The black tortoise covered the sky, and the qilin suppressed the sky. The 5 sacred beasts' auras were extremely terrifying. They supported Ling Xiao's body, causing him to exude the aura of a king. Clang. The Immortal Clan's Royal Highness and Ling Xiao's eyes collided. It was as if sparks were flying in all directions. A strong battle intent burst forth from both of them. Neither of them spoke, but the aura around them rose. Their battle intent grew stronger and stronger, as if an earth-shattering battle would erupt at any time. They both understood that this would be an earth-shattering battle. It would determine the ruler of the primordial heart, and it would also determine the fate of the future. Chapter 27:16. His Highness of the celestial race was surrounded by celestial light and auspicious energy. The 7-colored flames contained destructive fluctuations. His entire aura was rising like a resplendent sun. The sun had just risen and bloomed with millions of rays of light. Images of the 5 sacred beasts appeared behind Ling Xiao. Blazing divine light rose, and qi and blood converged, forming a powerful primal chaos dragon ancestor. It coiled around Ling Xiao, giving him a domineering and majestic aura. Both of their auras were rising rapidly like 2 bright suns, causing the void around them to vibrate violently. The huge underground cavern world was shaking as if it would collapse at any time. Just the clash of their auras had already caused such a terrifying commotion. He wondered what kind of scene it would be if the two of them were to truly fight. A mere doppelganger has such powerful combat strength. I wonder how strong his real body is. Ling Xiao thought to himself as he stared at the Celestial Highness. The Celestial Highness in front of him had an unfathomable cultivation base. Although he guessed that it was a doppelganger, he couldn't tell his real cultivation base. However, the pressure was everywhere. It was more terrifying than the combined aura of Celestial Venerable Huai, Celestial Venerable Rose, and Celestial Venerable Thorn. This was a formidable enemy. Let's fight. In the end, the Celestial Highness was the first to break the silence and attack Ling Xiao. Boom. He scolded softly. The celestial light around him was dazzling to the extreme. In an instant, his silhouette seemed to be ever-changing in the void, turning into billions of streaks of light, charging towards Ling Xiao. The sky was filled with terrifying palm prints. Tens of thousands of palm prints were like a roaring sea, attacking Ling Xiao from all directions at the same time, locking onto all the vital points on his body. Each of the millions of figures was like a real body, bursting forth with an attack comparable to a celestial venerable. Facing such a violent attack from the Celestial Highness, Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly. He took a few steps forward, and the vast amount of qi and blood gathered around him. Finally, a huge fist print was formed and blasted out. Vast purple gas rose, spanning 30,000 miles, containing an immortal and eternal energy wave. When Ling Xiao threw out this punch, all the blood in his body seemed to be burning. His heart and head were both spewing out a blazing light, providing him with an almost unlimited amount of energy. This was the full power of the primordial immortal body, as if it could destroy everything. The two peerless geniuses didn't make a move, but once they did, it was an earth-shattering battle. Boom, boom, boom. The sky was filled with surging divine light, shattering the void like a spiderweb. The Celestial Highness figure was extremely fast, but half of the millions of figures were destroyed by Ling Xiao's punch. But the Celestial Highness figure. The remaining powerful attacks landed on Ling Xiao's body, causing the purple aura around him to rise. His body trembled, as if it was about to shatter. In the blink of an eye, Ling Xiao's body. Ling. The primordial immortal body. By primordial immortal body. Without dodging. As soon as they exchanged blows, Ling Xiao spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was slightly pale. Ling He. Of course. Unprecedentedly bright and brighter than ever before. Crack. There seemed to be the power of thunder rising from Ling Xiao's palm. His speed was extremely fast. After forcefully taking on the attack from the Immortal's Highness, the runes in his eyes spread out, and he almost instantly locked onto the Immortal's Highness' true body. Then he grabbed the air and directly grabbed the Immortal's Highness' arm. The reason he took the Celestial Highness attack head-on was not only because his primordial immortal body was extremely powerful, but also because he wanted to find the Celestial Highness' true body. Ling Xiao's strongest point was his physical body. He was sure that the Celestial Highness clone was extremely powerful, but it wasn't the real body. Therefore, it couldn't be too strong. If Ling Xiao wanted to use the advantage of his physical body, he had to fight the Celestial Highness in close combat. Roar. After Ling Xiao found the real body of His Majesty, he grabbed him by the arm and let out an earth-shattering dragon roar. Ancestral Dragon's Roar. This was the Dragon Clan's secret technique, and also the most powerful Ancestral Dragon treasure technique. With the support of the Ancestral Dragon secret technique, an extremely terrifying energy fluctuation instantly erupted. It was like a storm that instantly spread out in all directions. The dragon's might was unparalleled and could destroy everything. The sound waves of the Ancestral Dragon roar were like the most terrifying storm. They instantly swept away the Celestial Highness clone. Then Ling Xiao grabbed the Celestial Highness arm. Unparalleled divine power erupted from his body, and he wanted to lift him up. Do you want to use the advantage of your physical body? But I've already said that you don't understand true power. The Celestial Highness' eyes flashed as he said coldly. After being lifted up by Ling Xiao, He didn't panic at all. Blazing immortal light rose around him, as if there was a five-colored divine light surging out. His entire body was bathed in the five-colored light, and emitted a mysterious fluctuation of origin. Whoosh! His other hand instantly became crystalline and translucent like jade, and he pointed a finger at the center of Ling Xiao's brows. The finger light was resplendent and fierce, and it contained the origin energy of the five elements, and it was fierce to the extreme. He took advantage of the momentum to soar into the air and kick Ling Xiao's neck. Seven-colored immortal fire circled around his foot, and vaguely gathered together to form a mysterious seven-colored fire lotus. The Celestial Highness attack was untraceable, but he had the initiative at any time and place, erupting with his most powerful attack. Boom! Ling Xiao also pointed a finger. The vast power of time rose. The Age Annihilation finger shattered everything and collided with the Celestial Highness Five Elements Immortal Jade finger. A resplendent halo suddenly exploded. Although the power of the five elements' origin was unparalleled, it was still obliterated by the power of time in the end. Moreover, as Ling Xiao circulated the power of time, a mysterious domain of time formed around him. The Celestial Highness body instantly became incomparably stagnant. Ling Xiao kicked out. The sky-devouring fire spewed out, and instantly collided with the seven-colored fire lotus. Endless fire origin exploded, causing Ling Xiao and the Celestial Highness to tremble violently. Both of them flew backward. Rumble. The battle between Ling Xiao and the Celestial Highness was incomparably intense from the beginning. It was like a battle of life and death. Every move was fatal, and aimed at the opponent's vital points. It was extremely dangerous. Originally, this underground space was incomparably sturdy, with the imprints and formations left behind by the ancestors of the five great sacred beasts. However, in such an intense battle between Ling Xiao and the Celestial Highness, it began to tremble violently as if it was about to collapse. Zhu Baihua. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.